Chapter 452. Ever since the establishment of the Heavenly Designer Department, it was unknown how many miracles they had created in the past 20 years. Even though the Calmness Celestial Department now possessed the common people's wish sphere, it was still too early to surpass them. Unless a deity-ranked expert appeared in their ranks, only then would they be able to suppress the Heavenly Designer Department. The two Hall Lords of the Heavenly Designer Department, the uncanny workmanship Devil Taoist ancestor, relied on the Heavenly Talisman Emperor to extend his lifespan. Hence, they had always been loyal and never made any mistakes. But ever since the Heavenly Talisman Emperor disappeared, the attitude of the Heavenly Designer Department became somewhat ambiguous. This was understandable. They couldn't see the future clearly and could only try their best to avoid being implicated. If things reached a critical point, the Heavenly Designer Department would no longer be reliable. And now, the Heavenly Designer Department practically controlled the lifeline of the world. For example, seeds, iron and steel smelting, oil manufacturing, all sorts of machinery, rubber, stone mud, moonstones for illumination, flints for heating, fire talisman guns, ammunition, combat techniques, wine, and even currency. If something happened to the Heavenly Designer Department, the world would be cut off from the supply of these resources. That would be a huge problem. These lifeline matters. Gu Qinsha had always felt that the Calmness Celestial Department should be in their hands. However, during these years, the Calmness Celestial Department had no time to develop these matters. They were determined to raise their strength first. Only by raising their strength would they be able to start from the top. Without sufficient strength, all sorts of reforms were just empty words. Now that Gu Qinsha had cultivated the heavenly Tao art, his strength could be said to have reached a certain level. It was time for him to carry out his plan. Flying boat. After pondering for a while, Gu Qinsha suddenly pointed at a nearby stone mountain. His transcendence energy enveloped it and instantly seeped into it. The stone mountain actually flashed with the light of 5 metals in an instant. Finally, it all turned into the essence of 5 metals. That's right, metallic essence. Metallic essence was the most common material used by cultivators for weapon forging. Although it was called metallic, it was actually made from the repeated tempering and extraction of various metals in a pill furnace. Finally, the final product would be refined into its essence. Its value was extraordinary. Even a fist-sized chunk of it would have extraordinary value. After the essence of the 5 metals was extracted, it could be soaked in gentle water, and then it could absorb spiritual energy for many years. After mixing it with high-quality jade powder and tanning it again, it would become a good material for refining flying sword armors. A piece of metal essence that could be used to refine flying swords had to be refined by cultivators above the Tao Realm 7 transformations for dozens of years before it could reach perfection. Therefore, in the mysterious sect of the immortal Tao, the essence of 5 metals could sometimes be used as a hard currency. Gu Qinsha had actually turned an entire mountain into the essence of the 5 metals. Even a saint would be flabbergasted if they saw this. If this was the case, then there was no need for the immortal Tao mysterious sect to mine and forge iron. Even if it was a god, it was possible to turn stone into gold, but it couldn't remain forever. After hundreds or thousands of years, the god's magic power would slowly disappear, and the gold would return to stone. Of course, the gods could extract gold from fusion elemental energy, but that was a different matter altogether. Fusion elemental energy itself contained an endless amount of matter, and the gods could only extract it, not change it. If Gu Qinsha were to fight a god now, he would definitely lose. He was still far from it. But now he had some abilities that even gods didn't have. Under Gu Qinsha's magic power, the mountain of metal essence collapsed and turned into dozens of huge floating boats. Each floating boat was 4 to 5 miles long and 1 mile wide. They were enormous boats. Countless star power and spiritual energy gathered inside the floating boats, forming runes that madly absorbed them. Within the body of the boat, there was a furnace that absorbed the power of the stars and turned it into star-true fire, which drove the ship to fly. Many runes were carved on the surface of the ship, which showed its strong defensive strength. This mountain of metal essence was melted into a total of 36 floating ships. These ships were like primordial whales that floated in the sky, constantly absorbing spiritual energy and the power of the stars. Gu Chansha had imitated the dragon ship of Xian how to use as a means of transportation for the academy. In the future, he would send people to control these 36 giant floating boats to recruit students from all over the country. This would create a huge commotion. The dragon ship of Xian Hao was an ancient treasure that could change its size at will. It had a hidden space inside and could fly at will. It could also be activated to unleash all sorts of attacks. It was a treasure that could both attack and defend. As for the floating boats that Gu Chansha had created, they naturally couldn't change their size at will. They didn't have a huge space inside, nor did they have any offensive formations. They were purely a means of transportation. He had created them on the spot and didn't intend to forge them into treasures. To forge them into true treasures with powerful defensive and offensive strength, even he would have to expend a lot of energy. Even now, he had used up a lot of energy to turn an entire mountain into 5 metals essence. He had to recover it slowly. General of Common People, spread out and head to the Chamber of Commerce of the Celestial Pacification Department in the country. Promote the Common People's Wish Academy, recruit disciples, and carry out a series of promotions. You should understand all sorts of things, right? Gu Chansha summoned the Common People's Wish Academy and conveyed his intentions. Yes, the 360 General of Common People drove the 36 floating boats and flew directly towards the most prosperous prefecture in the divine central continent. The curtains had been drawn on the changes in the world. The imperial court had the 3 dukes and 8 marquises, who were the cornerstones of the imperial court. However, the strength of the 8 marquises was actually only at 20 to 22 transformations. Among them, Marquis Jusher might be a little stronger. At the very least, although Marquis Ironblood was the reincarnation of an iron-blooded war god, he wasn't a match for a general of common people in a one-on-one fight. This general of common people had gone through many transformations and had been modified by Gu Chencha's heavenly Tao magic and the heavenly talisman emperor's bloodline. Not only was it already at the true dragon magic, it could even evolve the river of all things. It was also highly intelligent. Even the Black Gate of heaven and earth did not have such a puppet. Generally speaking, even unparalleled geniuses would only be able to cultivate the magic power of the Vajram magic after countless periods of bitter cultivation and comprehension. For example, the Ape Clan's leader, Ape Huang. Even Jing Xiao, this kind of ambitious and ruthless giant who wanted to create his own civilization, the quality of his magic power was only between the Vajra art and true dragon art. Only those who were born with the talent to cultivate magic power could have the quality of the true dragon magic. For example, Fa Wuxian or Zhubiya. And now, each of the general of common people's magic power quality was the true dragon magic. From this, one could see how strong this general of common people was. Even if there was only one general of common people, it would be able to manage a huge empire in an orderly manner without any loopholes. Moreover, now that Gu Chansha had 360 general of common people. Moreover, when these general of common people went to the common people to train, they could comprehend realms themselves. In the future, it wouldn't be surprising for them to reach the 23 transformations past reflection. From a certain theory, these general of common people were slowly not puppets anymore. General of common people and Gu Chansha were one, and their thoughts were connected. Their training was also Gu Chencha's training. This was because some things had to be ordered by Gu Chansha before they could do it. They were absolutely loyal and had no selfishness. However, they were intelligent and could predict everything. Just like what Jing Xiu said, these were pretty much perfect officials and rulers. After dispersing these marshals, Gu Chansha first circulated his Dharma powers here for 3 days and 3 nights to replenish the Dharma powers that he had just expended. Moreover, he was trying to comprehend the secret of never turning back. When he completely recovered and felt that he had improved, he left the academy that he had created and traveled among the people to see what waves he had stirred up. The first place he came to was Wuzhou. The martial province was the place where he obtained the Book of Heavenly Fae previously. It was also the place where the martial sage clan was located for thousands of years. It was also the place where the martial emperor Wu Dankong was born. This was the region where martial arts were the most prevalent in the Divine Land. Everyone worshipped martial arts, and every household practiced martial arts. There were boxing dojos in every town, and many of them were heroes of the pugilistic world. Landlords and wealthy families from all over the country basically came to the martial province to hire bodyguards. Gu Qinsha still remembered that in Wuzhou City there was the Tiger Leopard Alliance. It was a pugilistic sect that Gu Tanjian had recruited. Among them, the Tiger Leopard Alliance's leader, Jia Yidao, was already a Dao realm expert back then. This time, when Gu Qinsha toured the world, he first wanted to see the states where the saint families were located. He wanted to see how they would react to the opening of his common people's wish school. Just within the country, the biggest factor of unrest was the saint families, the families of gods, and the descendants of the gods. Originally, the biggest family was the legalists. However, the reason why Gu Qinsha came to Wuzhou first was because Wu Dankong was from the Wu family and the martial emperor was from the Wu family. Once the martial emperor recovered, he would definitely plan to seize the Wu family's foundation. With the Wu family as the foundation, it would be much easier to do all kinds of things. Moreover, the martial emperor already knew that the heaven's sacrificial decree was in the hands of Wu Dankong, so he would definitely want to seize it. Gu Qinsha still transformed into a scholar and entered Wuzhou City. He went straight to the largest tea house. Originally, he wanted to grasp the information. He would be in the sky and instantly envelop the entire city with his magic power. He would be able to immediately obtain the memories of many people. Moreover, he would be able to do it silently. Even people of the same realm as him would not have the ability to resist. However, such a large-scale activation of magic power to peek at the memories of the entire city would still attract the attention of peerless experts. This was not what Gu Qinsha hoped for. He still had to hide. Although the heavenly Dao technique was amazing, he had yet to be able to use it freely and reach the point of perfection. He could still be caught by immortal-level experts. Of course, if he did not activate his magic power and transformed into an ordinary person, then not to mention immortal-level experts, saints, oddities, and even the 3 celestial venerables would not be able to find any traces of him. Moreover, he wanted to understand the life of ordinary people. After cultivating the heavenly Dao technique, he finally had some leisure time. At least, no matter how the world changed, he had the ability to hide and protect his own safety. As long as he did not die, he would have the ability to make a comeback. There were many tea houses in Wuzhou City. Now that the world was rich, people did not have the pressure of living, so they naturally began to relax. And since ancient times, tea houses and restaurants were the best places to receive guests, relax, gather, and inquire about information. Chapter 453. Sir, this tea house no longer has a single seat. If you wish to drink tea, you'll have to share a table with others. Just as he entered the tea house, a servant came to greet him. I'm just looking around. I don't drink tea. Gu Qinsha saw that the tea house was already full. Even if he shared a table with others, he wouldn't be able to find a place. All right then, call me if you need anything. This servant also knew that the tea house was full every day. Many wealthy guests and scholars of the pugilistic world came to join in the fun, to enjoy the atmosphere, or to inquire about certain information. It wasn't strange at all. He ran out to greet other customers. Gu Qinsha walked toward the group of scholars who were talking loudly. The Calming Xian Department's newly opened Common People's Wish Academy recruited over 100 students today. I heard that they want to recruit 3,000 students from the entire Wuzhou. A scholar said loudly, they have already spread the word that as long as one is chosen to enter the Common People's Wish Academy, they will first be able to obtain the 3 dragon pellet, human dragon armor, and human dragon armor. They will also be able to learn the dragon nurturing mantra, the greatest ancient ultimate technique. This dragon nurturing mantra is amazing. It can even turn a fool into a genius. That's right. That's not all. As long as one is chosen, it's like a man attaining the Tao. Even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. The Calming CN department also said that there's a follow-up policy. All those who are recruited as students will receive subsidies if their family has a newborn baby. Furthermore, when they recruit students, one of the criteria is based on the number of brothers and sisters in the family. The more brothers and sisters in the family, the higher the chance of being recruited. This is to encourage childbearing. Another scholar was discussing national affairs. I want to take the test, but because I swore that I wasn't sincere, they told me to read more books of the saints and comprehend the principle of sincerely serving the people of the world. Only then would I take the oath. However, although I was eliminated, they still gave me a minor star returning pill before I left. The benefits of the Calming CN department are so great. Many scholars who gathered from all directions were discussing. We can take the test. After all, it doesn't cost anything. Who knows, we might even get a gift. I can't even get in the queue now. At the very least, I won't be able to get in for half a year. A scholar sighed. I was only late for the registration by 1 day. The Celestial Tranquility Department's Common People's Wishes Academy is such a good place. Everyone in the world naturally wants to break their heads to get into it. It's a pity that I'm not old enough. They only recruit young people. A middle-aged scholar waved his fan. However, my son is a suitable candidate. He has already been recruited. Congratulations, congratulations. You have to treat us tonight. A few scholars were extremely envious and jealous. Brother Gao, you have 3 sons and 4 daughters. The Calming Immortal Bureau likes this kind of family. No problem. I naturally have to treat you. My son has entered the Common People's Hope Academy of the Calming Immortal Department. Yesterday, I was given a large sum of money as a settlement allowance, and my other brothers and sisters were also rewarded. The middle-aged scholar, surnamed Gao, was very happy. Brother Gao, it's extremely dangerous to join the Calming Immortal Department. I've heard that there are some monsters stirring in the Sin Province. It's very likely that the Calming Immortal Department is recruiting disciples to train them so that they can fight against the demons. This isn't a good thing, a scholar said eccentrically. What are you saying? The middle-aged scholar, surnamed Gao, said angrily, the demons have appeared and are harming the living. We naturally have to fight and slay the demons to protect the common people of the world. This is the duty of scholars. Otherwise, wouldn't we have spent our lives in vain? Brother Wu, I know you've joined the National Fortune Party and are now working in the Tiger Leopard League. However, is this the philosophy of the National Fortune Party? To hide from the calamities of the world? Oomph. The scholar, surnamed Wu, stood up. The one surnamed Gao, you really don't know what's good for you. I'm reminding you, but your words are hurtful. People of different paths cannot make plans together. I'll take my leave now. I won't be seeing you out. The scholar, surnamed Gao, laughed coldly and looked at the others back. He's really a disaster. Everyone, ignore him. Today, let's go to the Drunken Immortal Inn and get drunk. Brother Gao, you're riding on the crest of success. Your son has entered the Calming Immortal Department and is cultivating that unparalleled ancient divine art, the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra. In the future, he will definitely become a genius. If he can temper himself and cultivate to the golden core of the immortal Tao, he will have a lifespan of 1,000 years. He will be able to support a huge clan. Many scholars started to flatter him. Gu Qinsha listened for a while and nodded to himself. He continued to listen and look around the tea house. Most of them were discussing the recruitment of students by the Calming Immortal Department's Common People's Wish Sphere. My plan this time is to bring about a trend of thought. Of course, nurturing talents is also one aspect. These days, the vow of all living beings in the Common People's Wish Sphere must have gathered quite a lot. At this time, Gu Qinsha used his divine will to communicate with the interior of the Common People's Wish Sphere. He saw that in the sky above the sphere, there was already a mass of light. Within this mass of light, countless figures flickered and appeared. Voices could be heard coming from it. It was the vow of tens of thousands of people. This was the vow that the calming immortal department had to make before recruiting students. If they were sincere, the sphere would be able to sense it. Using this opportunity, the sphere would absorb the vow of all living beings and the spirit wishes. Then, it would truly be worthy of its name. The common people's wish sphere would be able to increase its mystical abilities. After spending half a day in this tea house, Gu Chunsha had basically gotten a grasp of the popularity of this matter. However, the Wu clan didn't have any reaction to this, and it was somewhat abnormal. According to logic, the Wu clan would definitely covet the dragon-nurturing mental art. Back then, the martial emperor might have obtained the complete version of the dragon-nurturing mental art, but he didn't impart it to the Wu clan's clansmen. Because the martial emperor was an unfavored bastard son of the Wu clan, he had rebelled a long time ago. Any clan that obtained the dragon-nurturing mental art would have their strength increased by dozens of folds. The clansmen would nurture geniuses one after another, and the Wu clan would definitely send their disciples to participate in the test or directly contact the calming immortal department. However, during these days, not a single Wu clan's outer disciple came to participate in the calming immortal department's Common People's Wish Academy's test. This was extremely strange. Gu Qinsha just wanted to see the reaction of the aristocratic clans. In the end, they remained silent, and there must be a reason behind it. He strolled along the streets of the Wu Prefecture city, and soon he arrived at the street in front of the Wu clan's courtyard. The Wu clan's true mountain gate was in the center of the Wu Prefecture's 5 giant mountains. They were the Yingwu Mountain, the Yuanwu Mountain, the True Martial Mountain, the Martial Transformation Mountain, and the Extreme Martial Mountain. The 5 mountains were like a palm, and they were arranged by the martial sage. However, in this Wu Prefecture city, the Wu clan also had a courtyard that was connected to the secular world. Gu Qinsha's body moved, and he hid inside. He had long sensed that there was a powerful aura in this Wu clan's courtyard, and he was constantly paying attention to the calming immortal department's movements and reporting back to the mountain gate. The Wu clan's courtyard occupied a few thousand hectares, and it was filled with layers of pavilions, beautiful gardens, and layers of array formations. It was a typical grand layout, and it was worthy of being a millennium aristocratic clan. Gu Chansha didn't admire the scenery inside, and he had already arrived at the place where the powerful aura existed. It was a secret room, and there were 5 Wu clan elders seated inside, and they seemed to be discussing something. Among these 5 Wu clan elders, 3 were at the Golden Core Great Tao level. 1 was at the Rui size transformation at 19, and the leader was at the Gathering and Dispersing Impermanence transformation at 20. Gu Qinsha took a quick look and saw that the elder in the lead was only at the Minute Dust technique, which was very weak. Of course, this was from his own point of view. In the various aristocratic clans, an 18 transformation Golden Core Great Tao level was an absolute powerhouse, not to mention a true immortal who had cultivated magic power. The calming immortal department has made such a big commotion, and we're just going to watch here. Aren't we going to take any measures? At this time, a Golden Core Realm elder frowned. Take what measures? The leader of the elders, who had cultivated magic power, frowned. The calming immortal department's momentum has already been established, and even the ape race has suffered a great loss. The 3 great apes are covered in dirt, and they have suffered a great defeat. Even if our ancestor were to make a move, I'm afraid he would only be about the same as one of the 3 great apes. How can we make a move on the calming immortal department? This Wu Meng is quite clear. Gu Qinsha knew this elder's name. The calming immortal department investigated the mystic immortal Dao sects, and naturally, they would monitor all the aristocratic clans in the world. The Wu clan was a key target of surveillance, and all the Dao realm disciples in the clan were recorded. Not to mention the powerhouses who had cultivated golden cores and magic power. This elder who had cultivated the Minute Dust technique was called Wu Gongmong, and he had already lived for more than 300 years. Compared to his lifespan of more than 1,000 years, only 1/3 of it had passed, and he was still very young. The dragon-raising cultivation technique originally belonged to our Wu clan, and we must obtain it. This is unquestionable. A golden core elder spoke with an unyielding attitude, and when Gu Chensha looked over, he knew that this elder was called Wu Dangxing, and he was actually not that old, only 30 years old. Moreover, he was an unparalleled prodigy, and he was full of drive. He was the focus of the Wu clan's nurturing, and having such cultivation at such a young age was extremely rare even in the mystic immortal Dao sects. This person was also from the radical faction of the Wu clan, and he continued with a sneer. Back then, although Martial Emperor rebelled and left the clan, he was still of the Wu clan's bloodline. After his death, all his inheritance must belong to our Wu clan. The dragon-raising cultivation technique was brought out by him from the Dragon Gate of the primordial era, and even the calming immortal department cannot have it. He and Wu Dangkong were of the same generation. They were both of the Dang generation. This kid is really arrogant. When Gu Chensha heard this, he sneered in his heart. He had actually obtained the dragon-raising cultivation technique from Do 19. That's right, but I have some doubts. Wu Gomong said, the calming immortal department claims that they have the complete version of the dragon-raising cultivation technique, and even the dragon creation technique. Where did the dragon creation technique come from? Back then, Martial Emperor did not learn the dragon creation technique, and if the calming immortal department's dragon-raising cultivation technique did not come from Martial Emperor, then we really can't find an excuse to take it back. Chapter 454. This Wudong Xing is really tough. Gu Chensha could see it. This kid is an absolute disaster. Any clan or even a country has radicals, but this kid is too radical. He was watching from here, standing in front of these people, but they did not notice him at all. With his current means, even Do 19 could not notice him, let alone these 18, 19, and 20 transformations figures. Our Wu clan collaborates with the other sages and godly clans to force the calmness immortal department to hand over the dragon-raising mantra and dragon-making mantra. I'm afraid this is not appropriate. If all the major clans collaborate, the calmness immortal department will have to admit defeat. However, those clans all have their own plans. Will they collaborate with us? Wu Gomong frowned. Once the dragon-raising mantra is revealed, I don't believe that all the major clans in the world will not know about this powerful relationship, Wudong Xing said with fervor and assurance. By then, the calmness immortal department will cultivate a large number of geniuses. If this cultivation method is circulated, everyone will be a genius. How will we survive then? At that time, even the lowly servants, foolish farmers, and those lowly merchants will all ride on our heads. Elders, leave this matter to me. I am willing to travel to all the great families and use my silver tongue to convince them to work together to deal with the celestial calmness department. This matter cannot be allowed to happen. If those lowly people can also become geniuses, then the prestige of our sage clans will be tarnished. In the future, we will be on par with ordinary people. If that happens, we will let down our sage ancestors in future generations. Wu Gomong's eyes turned sharp. That's fine. You can go everywhere. Your aptitude is not below that of Wu Dangkong, and the clan has high hopes for you. However, you have to be careful. The Calmness Immortal Department is an organization of the Imperial Court. If you go everywhere to deal with them, it will be equivalent to rebelling. Those people from the Calmness Immortal Department are not to be trifled with. Jing Xiu was so powerful, but he was still beaten up badly. Especially that Zhuge. He can calculate everything in the world. If you're caught, we would be in trouble. After all, we don't have the power to suppress Tranquil Immortal Department anymore. Especially when Tranquil Immortal Department has already gotten the support of Taishan Capital and the entire Tai Fantasy Sect. Additionally, the Universe Mysterious Sect has also reached an agreement with them. It doesn't matter. Tai Fantasy Sect and Universe Mysterious Sect are just making investments. They're not really reaching a strategic agreement with Tranquil Immortal Department. Actually, as long as Wu Clan and Legalism Sect unite and use our trump cards, for instance, the unrivaled treasure of Wu clan and the unified Dharma cutting ring of legalism, we would be able to break the sphere of people's will of tranquil immortal department. Although the life's wish sphere was powerful, it was still too young. How many years had it been accumulating? With our thousands of years of accumulation, defeating him will be a piece of cake. Greed suddenly appeared in Wu Dongxing's eyes. Right now, the person in charge of recruiting apprentices in the Wu province's Chamber of Commerce is a puppet called the General of Common People. If we can capture him, we must not advance rashly. Wu Gomong was shocked. That General of Common People is no longer a puppet in the ordinary sense. I know how he was made. Even if one of them is enraged, they can easily kill us all. That General of Common People's cultivation base is at the Tao Realm 22 transformation of heaven and earth. Furthermore, it is at the level of a true dragon technique. You should know how powerful it is. Even if we had 10 times the number of us, we wouldn't be able to do anything to one of them. We would still be killed. Because of this, if we get this puppet, Wu Dongxing still could not hide his greed. These days, the name of the General of Common Peoples had spread across the world. Originally, when the Tranquil Immortal Department openly recruited apprentices, the major forces did not dare to say anything on the surface. This was because the Tranquil Immortal Department definitely represented the imperial court. However, they would still secretly cause trouble. However, those great powers did not expect that the ones in charge of each prefecture would actually be 10 common people's marshals. Every single one of them was of the true dragon technique grade. They were at the realm of 22 transformations of heaven and earth. Their magic power was vigorous and their auras were astonishing. Not to mention 10, even one was enough to suppress all sorts of situations. When 10 of them worked together, even the aristocratic families would not dare to provoke them. Right now, there were very few cultivators who had cultivated the true dragon technique. Apart from a few old antiques who had hidden for a long time, among the younger generation, there were only Fa Wuxian and Wu Dankong. The true dragon technique absolutely suppressed the Vajra technique without any suspense. In order to suppress a General of Common People's wish, it would probably require the old antiques of the aristocratic families to take action. Suppressing 10 required at least an expert with an undying body. Now, the various aristocratic families already knew that the Tranquil Immortal Department had sent out 360 General of Common People's wish. In order to suppress so many puppets, only those who had cultivated the 27 transformation of seamless two realms and could use the power of space would be able to subdue them. After gradually understanding the strength of the General of Common People's wish, many of the old antiques of the aristocratic families were both fearful and greedy. If any aristocratic family could obtain these 360 General of Common People's wish, their strength would rise unimaginably. We can also plan for this. The General of Common People's wish is indeed a good thing. The few elders were actually extremely greedy in the depths of their hearts. Then I'll go out and try to persuade them. A vicious expression appeared on Wu Dongxing's face. Those people from the Tranquil Immortal Department have really been too arrogant lately. Even the ape folks suffered at their hands. But that's exactly why I want to use someone else to do my dirty work and destroy the Tranquil Immortal Department. So what if you're the Lord of 7 Stars? I want to see if you're more intelligent or if I'm more scheming. Wu Dongxing walked out of his private chamber, then used an invisibility talisman and shot up into the air. His cultivation base was at the 18 Tao realm transformation of the golden core of the great Tao. His fleshly body couldn't shrink or grow larger. All he could do was transform his nascent divinity and Xiantian Empyrean Qi into a gold core. As he flew, he activated the power of his gold core. If he didn't conceal it, he would be able to see a beam of golden light that sliced through the sky. However, even if he did conceal it, it would still attract the attention of experts. It couldn't compare to the 19 transformation of size manipulation, which allowed his fleshly body to become as small as a speck of dust. Then he would be completely silent. Whoosh! Wu Dongxing flew out of Wuzhou and entered a cloud mist. He suddenly felt that something was off. He realized that no matter how he flew, He couldn't fly out of the cloud mist. It was as if he was trapped by some formation. Who? How bold to actually dare to trap me? Wudong Xing appeared and sent out mental energy fluctuations. You are really bold to actually dare to pretend to be me. Just at that moment, another Wudong Xing appeared in the mist. This Wudong Xing was exactly the same as him. Even his aura was the same. It was like he was a clone. The new Wudong Xing scolded the original Wudong Xing. Monster, you actually dare to change into my appearance to play with me. Wudong Xing was furious, but he calmed down. You change into my appearance? Which expert are you? You cultivated spiritual power and are making things difficult for me? Wudong Xing, I am the king. Gu Qinsha appeared. You are just a golden core cultivator. You actually want to form alliances to deal with the calm celestial division? You are really bold, even more arrogant than Wu Dangkong. What are you trying to do? Wudong Xing took a step back. Could it be that you want to fight me? You better think this through. You want to completely fall out with our Wu clan. Our Wu clan is not a second-rate clan like the Jing clan, who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Wu clan should be about the same as the Ape clan. Gu Qinsha smiled. At most, the Wu clan has a sect guarding treasure, as well as the power of the clan's sacrifice that has been accumulated for thousands of years. We can use these to exchange for a Dao integration martial sage to appear in this world for a few hours. This is our final trump card. It's good that you know. Wudong Xing said coldly. Since you heard my plan, I won't say anything more. Obediently hand over the dragon nurturing cultivation technique and dragon creation cultivation technique. Sai, the Wu clan is really arrogant. They have produced a Wu Dangkong, and now they have produced a weak radical like you. No wonder the martial emperor rebelled against the Wu clan and established his own sect. Gu Qinsha couldn't help but laugh. I'll tell you the truth. I obtained the dragon nurturing cultivation technique and dragon creation cultivation technique after capturing Do 19, the son of heavenly venerate Victor, and extracting his memories. I'm not even afraid of the 3 heavenly venerates. So why would I care about your puny Wu clan? What a joke. However, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll imprison you. Once I transform into your appearance, I'll do many things. As Gu Qinsha spoke, he once again transformed into Wudong Xing's appearance. Transform into my appearance? You probably only just started cultivating magic power, so you know a bit of transformation techniques. You haven't even reached the lawful manifestation of heaven and earth, and you want to rely on this to deceive an expert? Ha ha, what a joke, Wudong Xing said. The ignorant are fearless. Gu Qinsha shook his head. My puppet has already cultivated the true dragon cultivation technique. What cultivation level am I at? However, I'll tell you, you don't understand. Your cultivation level isn't enough to understand my cultivation level. I can't be bothered to explain it to you. I'll extract your memories. All of a sudden, Gu Qinsha's magic power broke through Wudong Xing's sea of consciousness and extracted all of his memories. Wudong Xing didn't seem to feel anything, but he already knew that he had been tricked by Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha, you're making an enemy of a saint. You're going against the law. He roared. Gu Qinsha flicked his sleeves, and instantly the void split open, sending Wudong Xing into the sphere of the people's wish. He then transformed into Wudong Xing's appearance and went straight to the capital outside the borders. He didn't go to the school of legalism, but to find Wu Dangkong. He first had to disguise himself as Wudong Xing and contact Wu Dangkong. Then, they would visit the various great clans together. This way, he would have more weight. This was because he realized that after cultivating the heavenly Dao technique, the greatest benefit wasn't in battle, but in using the characteristics of the heavenly Dao technique to execute all kinds of schemes. Chapter 455. When the real Wudong Xing was sent into the Life's Wish sphere, he saw Zhuge and Do 19. Hello, Wudong Xing, an unparalleled genius of the Wu clan's younger generation. Zhuge greeted Wudong Xing. Your celestial calmness department is truly audacious. How dare you imprison me? Do you really want to become enemies with the aristocratic families of the world? Wudong Xing roared. The consequences are not something your celestial commerce department can bear. What an idiot. The one who spoke was not Zhuge, but Do 19. Who are you? How dare you speak to me like this? Although Wudong Xing was captured, his killing intent and aura did not diminish in the slightest. I want to see if the celestial commerce department can imprison me for a long time. The one who spoke is Do 19, the son of the victorious battle celestial. He was also captured by our celestial commerce department, but he is now cooperating with us and has become an honored guest. Zhuge introduced Do 19. Wudong Xing's roar immediately came to a halt. He was a proud son of heaven, an unparalleled genius of a sage clan. His status even surpassed Jing Fanqing's. Jing Fanqing was born in the tiny Jing clan and had entered the Black Heaven Earth Gate as a disciple. How could a direct descendant of the Wu clan compare to him? But compared to Big Dipper 19, his status was like a commoner in the countryside meeting a noble lord. He became lowly. No matter how powerful the Wu clan was, they could not compare to the three heavenly venerables. How dare an ant like you clamor in front of me? Do 19 looked down on Wudong Xing. Wudong Xing's mouth moved, wanting to say something harsh, but he could not. In front of the sons of the three heavenly venerables, even he himself felt that his words were childish and laughable. Even if Do 19 killed him, the Wu clan would not dare to cause trouble for the three heavenly venerables. He could only swallow his anger. In the hearts of countless immortal sects, aristocratic families, and even the demon Dao and monster Dao, the three heavenly venerables were invincible existences, far surpassing the heavenly talisman great monarch. Although the heavenly talisman emperor was the hegemon of the world, he was still too young. The three ascendants had established their authority since the supreme, ancient, immortal realms. Throughout history, many powerful existences had fallen under the schemes of the three ascendants. In the eyes of many supreme experts, the heavenly talisman emperor was merely another member of the Xing clan. Although he might be at the peak of his power now, it would only last for a short period of time. Wudong Xing was arrogant, but he absolutely did not dare to be arrogant in front of the sons of three Empyreans. Wudong Xing, you're so stubborn. You'd better stay here and repent. I won't kill you. Zhuge pointed to the Common People's Wish Institute. Instantly, countless vows descended, wrapping Wudong Xing within. These vows were made by the common people, and they've all been injected into our sphere. As a disciple of an aristocratic family, you should listen carefully to the vows of the common people. The Calming Immortal Department had established the Common People's Wish Institute. Now, they were recruiting disciples from the various prefectures. During the assessment, the disciples would have to make these vows. The power of these vows would then be channeled into the Common People's Wish Sphere, turning into a surging torrent. From then on, the Common People's Wish Sphere would truly live up to its name. However, the power of these vows was still very weak. The nourishment they provided to the Common People's Wish Sphere was only a trickle. But as the Institute expanded, the number of apprentices would increase. In the future, there would be hundreds of thousands, millions, or even tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of apprentices. Every day, they would have to make vows. The power of these vows was simply invincible. It was enough to make the Common People's Wish Sphere a treasure on the same level as the Black Heaven Earth sect. This kind of Common People's Wish Sphere was not the kind of faith that worshipped a god. Instead, it was a kind of thought. This was because those who entered the Institute would make an oath to fight for the sake of the common people and for the sake of the human race. The true meaning of this oath was that it came from the common people and was used for the common people. It was not targeted at a saint or a god. These vows and wishes would converge into a kind of thought. When the Calming Immortal Department brought it up, it would be extremely terrifying. The Calming Immortal Department's method was to use benefits to tempt people with righteousness. As for which was more important, countless saints and scholars had studied it countless times since ancient times. The Calming Immortal Department naturally had its own reasoning. They still adhered to the idea of valuing benefits first before valuing righteousness. Only when one was rich would one know etiquette. Only when everyone was well-fed and well-clothed and rich would they pay attention to order and etiquette. They would pursue things on a higher spiritual level. If everyone was on the verge of starvation and cold, they would be able to do all sorts of evil things. Therefore, the calming immortal department first used great benefits to tempt the common people, causing them to fight to be the first. Scram, scram. You lowly commoners will always be lowly commoners. You want to surpass us aristocratic families? That's just seeking death. You can only be enslaved forever. Wu Dangxing seemed to have gone mad as he shouted and shouted. Zhuge ignored him, allowing him to shout and shout. Do 19, on the other hand, shivered. This kid's magic power is shallow. Before long, he will be brainwashed by this wish power. This wish power is extremely powerful. Even I might not be able to withstand it for a long time. This wish power had already become a thought. It was a general trend and atmosphere. For example, when many people shouted slogans together, it would attract people who were normally unrelated to them to shout as well. Under the influence of this atmosphere, it was like a rolling snowball that grew bigger and bigger. Do 19, what do you think of the upgrade of our common people's wish sphere? Zhuge asked. The wish power of the common people is extremely terrifying. Do 19's expression was grave. I organized the Everlasting Extermination Alliance to destroy the Imperial Court, but now it seems I miscalculated. The general trend of the world is like a raging fire. The future has reached a critical juncture. If we don't take advantage of it, we'll remain conservative and blindly believe in the past. I'm afraid we'll suffer a calamity. Do 19, you need to think this through. Zhuge was still warning him. Right now, he wanted to pull Do 19 into the calming immortal department. That way, he would be able to place chess pieces under the command of the three Celestials. I'm afraid the Wu clan doesn't know that Wu Dangxing has been captured, but they'll find out sooner or later. How will the calming immortal department respond? Are we really going to oppose the aristocratic families of the world? Losing a golden core powerhouse is like cutting off a chunk of the Wu clan's flesh. Do 19's conversations with Zhuge over the past few days had dispelled many temptations for his own cultivation. The Lord of Seven Stars truly lived up to her name. Her experience and comprehension of cultivation even surpassed that of a deity. It is okay. The Wu clan has always been plotting against us. Zhuge smiled. You are involved, so you should know that His Highness has cultivated the Heaven Path technique. Not only can it mimic a human form, but it can also mimic a person's fate. This means that if we kill you and His Highness turns into you, even the three celestial venerables won't be able to notice. That is because it won't be fake, it will be the real you. Shua. Do 19's expression changed. His face turned ashen white, and after a long while, he barely opened his mouth. I'm afraid it won't be so easy. My cultivation is at the Tao Realm 25 Transformation Undying Body. The Heaven Path technique allows me to mimic other people's bodies, aura, and even fate. But cultivation is the real thing, so I'm afraid I can't mimic it. That is not bad. Zhuge Yin nodded his head. Cultivation can't be mimicked, but do you think that it is difficult for His Highness to reach your realm? His talent is that of a natural saint, and he has cultivated the Heaven Path technique. He also has numerous resources to support him, so if he wants to cultivate, it isn't surprising for him to reach the Tao Realm 25 transformation. When the time comes, he will use your identity to do things. Do you think anyone will be able to recognize him? You all. Naturally, Do 19 knew that Gu Chinch's cultivation realm wouldn't be a problem. He had the talent of a natural saint and could reach the peak of the 36 transformation. Do 19's own talent was at the peak of a top genius, so it was impossible for him to become a natural saint. He cultivated the dragon creation technique, so it was easy for him to become a top genius. But he didn't have the Saint Dragon Heart technique, and he didn't have the Desolate Dragon Sex Saint Dragon energy. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, the three celestial venerables are unfathomable. Even if you could hide it from them, We wouldn't let your highness take such a risk, Zhuge said. What about the white tiger egg and the green dragon egg that your clone obtained? The white tiger egg is easier, but the green dragon egg needs to be dealt with by Heaven and Earth Sect. Dome 19 said, but it shouldn't be a problem. Within 3 months, I will definitely settle this. Then, I will wait for your good news. Zhuge didn't reply. Dome 19 was unable to guess what he was thinking. During the few days he spent talking to Zhuge, Dome 19 couldn't see through him at all. He was really deep and indiscernible. Moreover, Zhuge knew all of his memories, so he didn't dare to play any tricks in front of him. At this moment, Gu Chensha had already turned into Wu Dongxing. His body also mimicked his aura and cultivation. They were the same person. Moreover, he had all of Wu Dongxing's memories, so there were no loopholes when he transformed. Wu Dongxing had an 18 transformation Great Dao Golden Core, and he was 20, so it was easier for him to mimic the changes. The Heaven Path technique's quality was lower than his, so there were basically no loopholes. But if it was higher than the main body, then there was nothing he could do. After all, the realm was fixed and there was no way to mimic changes. After arriving at the capital city, Gu Chencha's incarnation of Wu Dongxing stayed in the Wu clan's guild hall in the capital city. Wu Dongxing's status in the clan was extremely high, so he naturally received excellent treatment. He used the Wu family's unique technique to send talismans to Wu Dangkong. As expected, at night, one of Wu Dongkong's clones appeared in the hall. Dangxing, the elders have told me about your plan. Wu Dangkong looked at Gu Chencha's Wu Dongxing form. As expected, she couldn't tell whether it was real or fake. Her sun-moon dragon eyes could see through all changes, but they were useless against Gu Chencha's transformation. Chapter 456. What do you think of my plan? Wu Dongxing's seniority was the same as Wu Dongkong's, and in the Wu clan, his status wasn't much lower than Wu Dongkong's. Moreover, Wu Dongxing had a prideful personality and didn't address Wu Dangkong respectfully. This was Wu Dongxing's personality, and Gu Chensha imitated it perfectly. Wu Dangkong didn't mind and seemed to be used to it. Your plan isn't bad, but as the liaison, you will be attacked by the Calming Xian department. You better think it through. If the Calming Xian department dares to oppose the world's clans, it will be their doomsday. Gu Chencha's Wu Dongxing revealed killing intent. Dragon nurturing mental art, dragon creation mental art, the world's momentum, and the oath to the common people. If we don't keep our guard up, I'm afraid that in a few more years, the Celestial Commerce Department will be established. At that time, we won't be able to shake it anymore. At that time, someone has to stand up and do all kinds of things. That F.A. Wuxian is a coward, but I don't want a bunch of mud legs to be on equal footing with us aristocratic family disciples. That's right. Wu Dangkong had been in politics for years, and her horizons had broadened. Her temperament had gradually changed as well. The big and small matters in the imperial court had greatly sharpened her. The Calming Xian department's move is indeed fierce, tyrannical, and tyrannical. Just the complete version of the dragon nurturing cultivation technique was enough to make everyone in the world scramble for it, not to mention the higher grade dragon creation cultivation technique. Apart from that, the Calming Xian apartment Sky Demon Tree has matured and can continuously produce all kinds of artifacts and elixirs. Compared to the Buzhou Palace, its manufacturing ability is 100 times stronger. It will soon occupy the market and squeeze out our Clear Sky Merchant Association. Even the Celestial Craft Institute will be squeezed. Therefore, we must gather our forces and give the Calming Xian department a thunderous blow. Gu Chensha intentionally said, although I have great ambitions, I'm afraid those clans will think that I am inexperienced and won't listen to me. Therefore, I came to discuss with you. Wu Dongkong's cultivation was increasing by the day, and her status in the Wu clan was getting higher. Furthermore, the true core members of the Wu clan already knew that she might have the heaven's sacrificial decree and was under the command of the heavens. Of course, your cultivation is only at the Golden Core realm. You're still too weak to convince all the big families. Based on Jing Qiu's cultivation level, he has contacted many powerful people, but in the end he failed at the last step. Wu Dangkong said, "But you are willing to be the vanguard. That is extremely good. Jing Qiu has already paved the way for us. After his failure, we can learn a lot from his experience. Since you're here today, I'll discuss it with the Crown Prince and Gu Tianjian." Ha! Brother Dang Xing is really radical. At this moment, a voice rang out. A person appeared in front of him. It was Crown Prince Gu Xianxia. With such a disciple, the Wu family has hope. In the future, Brother Wu can be our vanguard. Gu Tianjian also appeared. They were extremely respectful to Wu Dongxing, and naturally, they were certain that this person could be the vanguard. Gu Chunxia cupped his hands. "Brother Xianxia, Brother Flicking Sword, the two of you are now magnates. Let's discuss how to deal with the Calming Immortal Department. If the two of you can fully support me, I am willing to be the vanguard and attack the Calming Immortal Department. This is inevitable. We also lack a brave warrior who dares to be the vanguard." Gu Tianjian stared at Gu Chenchia's transformed Wudong Xing for a long time. Originally, Jing Qiu had the chance to destroy the Calming Immortal Department, but it was a pity that he failed. However, the Calming Immortal Department has been too excessive recently and actually wanted to conquer the world. This is going too far. I also think that the Calming Immortal Department might be a part of the Imperial Court, but they have destroyed the Imperial Court's current structure. If this continues, the people will only know about the Calming Immortal Department and not the Imperial Court or me, the Crown Prince. Gu Xianxia was actually a little sullen. He might be the Crown Prince, but the Imperial concubine Ming, Wu Dangkong, was in the study room. The Celestial Craft Department and the Calming Immortal Department weren't under his control. The officials in the study room had their own ideas, and the 3 dukes and 8 marquises of the Imperial Court didn't openly support him. Some of his brothers had their own ulterior motives and were currently supporting Gu Tianjian. At a glance, apart from having the title of Crown Prince, he was actually a loner. Fortunately, he had prepared for a rainy day and established the Hongyun Games among the people, which was more or less helpful. In addition, he was adept at forming alliances. By pulling Wu Dangkong along, he could slowly accumulate his strength. However, as the Calming Immortal Department grew stronger day and night, he actually felt a sense of despair. After the Calming Immortal Department defeated the ape race, he felt that things weren't right. If he didn't restrict them, he wouldn't be able to keep his position as the Crown Prince. Before he could come up with a concrete countermeasure, the Calming Immortal Department announced that they had obtained the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and the Dragon Creation Sutra. They opened the Common People's Wish Academy and even sent out 360 Common People's Marshals to intimidate the world. Gu Xianxia looked at those Common People's generals and felt even more despair. That was because he realized that he wasn't even a match for 1 Common People's generals. His cultivation was 22 transformation heaven and earth, but the quality of his Dharma power was still the Vajra technique, which was far from the True Dragon technique. Even if he had the White Tiger bloodline, having the Saint Beast bloodline was different from having a true Saint Beast. The True Dragon technique could only be cultivated by a natural saint. Unparalleled geniuses and innate saints were of the same level, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Any puppet would at most reach the Vajra technique. He really couldn't understand how the Common People's generals could cultivate the True Dragon technique. His own strength was cultivated bitterly, and who knew how many fortuitous encounters he had. However, in the end, he was still weaker than a puppet, especially when there were 360 of them. No matter who it was, they would feel despair. Wu Dangkong was also in despair. She estimated that if she didn't use treasures and just relied on her true cultivation, the 10 Common People's generals would be able to suppress her. She obtained the Heaven Ritual Talisman and had many fortuitous encounters. She went through the Grotto Heaven Ritual, the Dharma King Ritual, and also received Xing Qiangshi's guidance. She cultivated bitterly and finally reached the limit of the 22 transformation heaven and earth, the river of all things. This change could be said to be the limit of one's Dharma power. However, each of the Common People's generals could transform into the river of all things. She really couldn't understand how Calming Xian Department was able to craft it. Since we have come to an agreement, then things will be much easier. Gu Chansha turned into Wudong Xing and said, "Brother Flicking Sword, I heard that you have a strong presence behind you. Can you give me some pointers as the vanguard to deal with calming Xian department? Let me obtain some benefits so that I will have better strength to charge." Gu Chansha wanted to obtain the secrets of the great spirit god from Gu Tanjian. From Grand Preceptor Wenhong, Gu Chansha found out that the great spirit god was the most cunning god since ancient times. Although his foundation was vast and his dharma power was not as strong as God Maha, he was able to abandon his heavenly god throne and escape from the heavenly talisman emperor's seal while the other gods were sealed. From this, one could see that this god had immeasurable power and schemes. "I can give you a talisman." Gu Tanjian flicked his finger and a jade talisman landed in Gu Chench's hand. This talisman was crafted by the great spirit god. After it is ignited, it can instantly summon 100,000 giant spirit soldiers. Within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, they can set up an inescapable net to trap the enemy. However, this talisman can only be used once. The mighty miracle soldiers were created by the ancient mighty miracle god for ancient Tianzi. Each of them is at the level of a 14th transformation primordial spirit projection stage expert. The mighty miracle heavenly generals are almost at the level of an 18 transformation great Tao golden core. Gu Qinsha pretended to be surprised. Although it's just an illusion, 100,000 soldiers can tear apart many existences in a breath's time. "Brother Flicking Sword, you're really rich." Gu Qinsha said, "I'm poor, and I don't like being the crown prince. I don't have any magic treasures to help Brother Danxing. But I can order the Hanyun Association to help Brother Danxing with this important matter." Gu Qinsha was obviously stingy. Gu Qinsha laughed inwardly. This Gu Tanjian is up to no good. There must be something strange about this giant spirit commander's talisman, but I can obtain the great spirit god's secrets from it. Finally, I've found some clues about the great spirit god. When I have the time, I'll find Wenhong and use his methods to obtain more information. I've given him many of the memories I obtained from the Xingqiong clan and Jianggongwang. His cultivation is probably increasing by the day. Our three forces will form an alliance. Wu Dangkong said formally. "Let's not fight each other in the future. Let's work together to deal with the Celestial Tranquility Bureau. If we continue to plot against each other, we'll be in big trouble in a few years." "All right, that's for sure. Divided, we disperse. United, we unite." Gu Tanjian clapped his hands. "Brother Wudong Xing will be the emissary of this alliance. Today, we'll sign an agreement. Our Fortune Party, the Hanyun Movement, and the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce will form an alliance called the Heaven Alliance. What do you think?" "I think it's a good idea. The Heaven Alliance will be formed by our three forces. Wudong Xing will be the emissary to persuade everyone." Wu Dangkong took out a jade tablet and infused it with his aura. Then he handed it to Gu Tanjian and Gu Xinsha. "You two infuse your aura as well. This will serve as a token of our Heaven Alliance. Let Wudong Xing carry it. It's also a proof of identity." Of course, Gu Tanjian and Gu Xinsha both infused their auras as well. As Gu Tanjian infused his aura, he held the jade tablet in his hand. This kind of jade is rare in the world. It's so sturdy that not even saints can break it. Only the Son of Heaven's God-sealing arts jade transformation talisman can break it. There's also a boundless fiendish aura in this jade. Gu Chinch's heart jumped. When Wu Dangkong took out the jade tablet, he could already tell that it was the Jade Mountain that sealed the Xingqiong clan. Could it be that Wu Dangkong really had released the Xingqiong clan? This was a huge question. The last time Gu Qinsha went to look for it, the Jade Mountain had disappeared. There was no way Wu Dangkong could dissolve such a huge Jade Mountain. Even though Gu Chansha had cultivated the heavenly Tao art, he couldn't dissolve the Jade Mountain in a short period of time. Perhaps the Xingqiong clan had freed itself and reached some sort of agreement with Wu Dangkong. Chapter 457. The Heaven Alliance was officially established. Gu Tanjian, Wu Dangkong, and the ancient mystic Sand gathered together. The power they formed was not to be underestimated. Even the aristocratic families had to give them some face, especially Gu Tanjian. The power behind him was mysterious and vast. He was truly an invincible overlord. Wu Dangkong also had a mysterious power behind him. Gu Qinsha knew that this woman probably had Xing Qingshi's backing as well. But made sense. If he was Xing Qingshi, he would definitely make use of this woman. After all, she had the heaven sacrificial decree. Wu Dongkong's greatest wish now was to remove the power of the heavenly talisman Great Emperor from the heaven sacrificial decree. Otherwise, every time he obtained something from the sacrificial ceremony, he would have to give half to Gu Qinsha. It was simply not worth it. Because of this, Wu Dangkong also wanted to ally with Xing Qingshi. This time, I've gained a lot by disguising myself as Wu Dangkong. At the very least, I've caught some clues about the Great Spirit God. I've also obtained some information about the conflict between Wu Dangkong and Xing Qingshi. Maybe I can find Xing Qingshi's backing from Wu Dangkong. Gu Qinsha received the Jade token. On it was the agreement of the three experts. This time, I'm going to make use of Wu Dangkong's identity to do many things. I have 1,000 plans to make these aristocratic families kill each other. But with the invasion of the demon race, making these aristocratic families kill each other will actually weaken the strength of the human race. The gains do not make up for the losses. Gu Qinsha toyed with Wu Dangkong. Gu Tanjian and the ancient mystic Sand already knew how terrifying his heavenly Tao art was. Suddenly, he thought, why don't I use this transformation to deal with the demon race? I can disguise myself as a high-ranking member of the demon race and infiltrate the Nether Iron fortresses. I can cause trouble for the demon race and delay the outbreak of the demon race. As long as the demon race didn't erupt, no matter how much trouble Wu Dangkong and the others caused, it would be useless. The great tribulation between heaven and earth was caused by the demonic nature and the spiritual nature. Only when the demonic nature and spirituality clashed would the demons come to the human world and suppress spirituality. Only then would Wu Dangkong and the many aristocratic families and mystical sects have a chance to take advantage of it. As long as the devil calamity didn't break out, all the conflicts wouldn't happen. All right, I'm now the envoy of the Heaven Alliance. Gu Qinsha took the Jade Tablet. I'm going to the School of Legalism to persuade F.A. Wuxian to join our alliance. As he spoke, he left. As soon as he left, he wrapped the Jade token and the Jade talisman with a strand of magic power and sent them into the sphere of the common people's wish so that Zhuge, you could study them. If he could not understand them, he could go to Grand Preceptor Wenhong. As for himself, he flew directly to the devil's domain in the bottomless sea of sin. The seal under the bottomless sea of sin was broken, and the devil chi was getting stronger and stronger. In the past, Gu Qinsha could use the touch of ghostly and divine tree to suppress it. Now, there were all nether iron fortresses below, and there were even devil gods lurking in them. If Gu Qinsha had entered in the past, he would definitely have died. Even Zhuge, you would have been torn to pieces. But now, he could transform into a demon and lurk in there. He could use his skills and obtain many opportunities. Devil gods couldn't find him, and they couldn't calculate his whereabouts. After entering the devil's domain, Gu Qinsha sensed that the seal was broken. A huge formation began to seal off the place. The devil chi surged and formed millions of seals. It was impossible for immortal cultivators to go down again. In other words, the exit was completely sealed by the demon's devil Tao magic. It was impossible for immortal cultivators to go down and fight secretly. Unless they tore open the void and entered the devil's domain directly, it would consume too much energy and cause too much noise. The moment they tore open the void and reached another world, it was like throwing a mountain into the ocean, causing huge waves. Change demonic energy. In the face of the layers of seals, Gu Qinsha's body moved slightly. He had already changed his body's characteristics, which were very similar to demonic chi. He seeped into the seals just like that, and the seals actually did not sense or discover him at all. Unfortunately, I haven't reached the 22 transformation heaven and earth transformation realm. Otherwise, I would be able to turn into true demonic energy. Gu Qinsha was now at the 20 transformation impermanence gathering and dispersing. Although it was a transformation, it was actually simulation. Only when he reached the 22 transformation heaven and earth transformation realm would it be a true transformation. Of course, this didn't stop him from passing through the seals. He had the green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and Gauchian bloodline. It was the same as containing the 5 elements of energy. Moreover, his heaven path technique had been cultivated, so it was much easier for him to connect to many dimensions. In the past, he had obtained the 100 Worlds ceremony. This was a method to connect to many dimensions and absorb energy. Out of the many dimensions, some contain thick-wood energy, some contain metal energy, fire energy, water energy, earth energy, and so on. Gu Qinsha activated the Great Massacre God technique and used it with ease. Originally, no matter how he used it, it would be hard for him to control it. But after he cultivated the Heaven Path technique, he was able to master it without any obstacles. That was because the Heaven Talisman Emperor's bloodline had merged with his powers, which was why he could cultivate the Heaven Path technique. He directly teleported into the demon region. Gu Qinsha turned his powers into demonic energy and floated about. He saw many nether iron fortresses built on the demon region plains. Demon statues and dragons flew about in the air. The demonic energy was extremely thick and it could explode at any moment. The demonic energy is brewing. Countless dimensions and chaotic essence energy are boiling. This is all because for the prosperity of the Central Plains divine continent, the spiritual energy is exploding, causing the balance of heaven and earth to be lost. Gu Qinsha deduced without any emotions at all. He directly entered one of the nether iron fortresses. The nether iron fortress he had infiltrated was extremely large. Tens of thousands of demonic energy gathered to form demonic dragons that flew everywhere, forming countless dragon formations. There were vaguely demon god-level experts in the fortress, and many of them had the auras of demon emperors and demon emperors. In a flash, Gu Qinsha locked onto a room in the nether iron fortress where a demon emperor resided. This demon emperor was a nether armor great demon, but he had cultivated magic energy, which made him suitable for Gu Qinsha's transformation. Being able to cultivate magic energy, this demon emperor had an extremely high status in the demon race and knew many secrets. He was currently cultivating his demonic arts in his secret chamber, chanting the Mahakasayapa mantra and mobilizing demonic energy. The incantation blended with the demonic energy in the air, providing strength and stability to the fortress cluster. Gu Qinsha didn't reveal his body to deal with him. With just a pounce, all the will in the Demon Emperor's sea of consciousness was completely destroyed, replaced by Gu Qinsha. Then, Gu Qinsha found out everything he wanted to know. The Demon Emperor's body shrank in an instant, turning into a rune, and a new Demon Emperor was born. It was Gu Qinsha's transformation. Gu Qinsha refined this Demon Emperor into a rune, which was only the size of a grain of sand. Gu Qinsha didn't possess the body, because there would be many flaws if he did. He might as well kill the Demon Emperor and transform into the Demon Emperor, which would make it easier for him to do various things. In an instant, the Demon Emperor in the Nether Iron Fortress died, and Gu Qinsha became the new Demon Emperor. It was clean and neat, without leaving any traces. There were demon god-level experts in the Nether Iron Fortress, and they had been operating for a long time. It was connected to the surrounding Nether Iron Fortresses, so even god-level experts couldn't sneak in. However, Gu Qinsha had managed to sneak in and kill the Demon Emperor without anyone noticing and take his place. In the past, Gu Qinsha's first bucket of gold was stealing the chaotic, demonic ape temple. But now, he had become a true thief of the heavens, a thief of the path. He had become one of the 5 thieves of the heavens. The Demon Emperor's memories flowed into his sea of consciousness, and were instantly digested. His expression turned ugly because he had discovered some of the demon race's plots. The demon gods of the demon race have already set their eyes on the coming immortal division. This time, their first target is to destroy us. They are already preparing to open a passage to the barbarian race. And the coordinates of that passage is the chaotic, demonic ape temple. Guchinch's expression was ashen. The three great apes and the barbarian demon god level experts have reached some kind of agreement. Now, there are billions of demons here, chanting the great Mahakasepa mantra, brewing the myriad devil heart, prison, myriad tribulation, lightning recorded in the scripture of hell. This lightning is condensed, and as long as it strikes, it can even kill a saint. It is the gathering of billions of demons, brewing, and finally turning into a one-time attack. The plan of these demon god level experts is to wait for the tribulation lightning to finish brewing, then suddenly open a passage, and the demons will appear at the passage of the chaotic demonic ape temple. Then, the tribulation lightning will fly out from the demon domain and destroy the common people's wish sphere. Many demon god level experts, and even devil saints of the demon race, had set their eyes on the coming immortal division, formulating a plan. The first plan was to destroy the coming immortal division. This crisis was brewing, and it was extremely dangerous. If the demon race really went according to their plan, the coming immortal division would most likely end up dead. Although the coming immortal division had taken every possibility into account, in the face of absolute power, any plan was childish and laughable. Fortunately, Gu Chansha had cultivated the heavenly Tao law and was able to sneak in and obtain this secret. He had made preparations in advance, but this was decided by many demon god-level experts and devil saints of the demon race. Even if they knew, it would be difficult to stop it. Just like how all the experts in the world knew that the demon disaster was about to break out, but who could stop it? This was the general trend. It seems like our coming immortal division has already grown to actually become the first target of the demon gods and devil saints. Is this a good honor or a bad honor? Gu Chansha analyzed the situation and found that he actually had no way to stop it. The demon race's plan was actually very simple. They kept building the Nether Iron Fortress, gathering countless demons, and under the command of the demon god level experts, chanting the great Mahakasepa mantra, gathering their essence, chi, spirit, and demonic chi, and brewing for a long time, turning it into a sure kill technique. In fact, this method was similar to the vow the Common People's Wish Academy recruited apprentices. Chapter 458. The demon domain had many dimensions, and each dimension was vast and boundless. Countless demons, demon gods, and demon saints were hidden within. If the demon disaster broke out completely, the Calmness Immortal Department would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot with its strength. Even if every member of the Calmness Immortal Department became a god-grade expert, it would be useless. Gu Chansha was well aware of this, so he had never thought of stopping the demon disaster. He only wanted to delay it and wait for the imperial court to fully mature before fighting the demon disaster to the death. With the current strength of the imperial court, it was impossible to resist. If the demon disaster could be delayed for a few decades or even 100 years, the dragon nurturing mantra and dragon creation mantra would spread, and geniuses and peerless geniuses would appear like mushrooms after a spring rain. Then, the imperial court might be able to put up a fight. There were also countless people with great providence among the people. If they could grasp all of them, the Calmness Immortal Department would be able to defy the heavens and achieve unprecedented achievements. After transforming into this demon sovereign, he pondered how to increase the Calmness Immortal Department's strength while delaying the demon disaster. The simplest way was to hide here and use the concealment advantage of the heavenly Tao arts to assassinate countless demon sovereigns and demon sovereigns. Then, he would refine these powerful demons into talismans and send them into the common people's wish sphere for the heavenly demon tree to absorb and rapidly grow. The heavenly demon tree was currently at a critical stage of growth. In human terms, it was the time for its body to grow. It needed a large amount of nutrients. If it could continuously kill demon sovereigns, it would quickly mature. However, there was a problem with this plan. It would be fine if he could sneak in and kill a few demon sovereigns, but if he killed more than 10, it would definitely attract the attention of demon god grade experts. It would be difficult to kill them again. Moreover, there was the risk of being discovered. Although the heavenly Tao art's transformation technique was miraculous, it was not omnipotent. Strength was the foundation. Gu Chansha could escape, but if he exposed the secret of his transformation, it would be difficult to continue when the demon god grade experts were on guard. Gu Chansha rejected such an action that would alert the enemy. What should I do? With my current strength, I won't be able to deal with demon god experts. I can kill experts with the undying body and even those at 26 changes. But against those at 27 changes who can tear open space, I will definitely lose. Even if I cultivate 22 changes to heaven and earth, it will be useless. Gu Chansha thought about it deeply. Just as Gu Chansha was pondering this, a voice transmitted down from the upper levels of the Nether Iron Fortress. Dark armor foolish. Why have you stopped activating the Mahakasayapa mantra? Lord Foolish Killer, I've gained some enlightenment from activating the great Mahakasayapa mantra, and it seems like I'm about to advance. Gu Chansha did not bat an eyelid. The owner of the will transmitted from the upper echelons was called Dark Armor Foolish Kill. He was a demon emperor who had also cultivated to the level of undying body and solid rock technique. Compared to Do 19, Jingqiu was far inferior. He was also inferior to Ape Desolation. If Gu Chansha were to face him, he would be able to kill him in one move. Is that so? You are actually going to advance. Come up quickly. Let me see how much benefits our Dark Armor Great Demon race can gain from this war. Dark Armor Foolish Kill summoned Gu Chansha. Gu Chansha's Dark Armor Foolish Kill turned into a streak of pure demonic energy and headed to the upper levels of the fortress. At the pinnacle of the Nether Iron Fortress was a huge tower. Demon god-level powerhouses were obviously guarding the tower. They usually wouldn't take action, and the ones who really managed things were naturally some demon, overlord-level demons on the lower floor. For example, the ape race. The 3 ape god basically didn't care about anything. It was Chief Ape Desolation and the 10 Battle Kings who managed the race. The 3 ape god would only appear at the most crucial moment to save the race. It was the same for the demon race. According to Dark Armor Foolish Memories, Dark Armor Foolish Kill was the true manager of the Nether Iron Fortress. At the highest level, there was a demon god expert called Dark Armor Foolish Life. As for his true cultivation realm, Dark Armor Foolish Kill didn't know. Whoosh! Gu Chansha, who had transformed into Dark Armor Foolishness, arrived in front of Dark Armor Foolishness. This was a middle-aged evil man who had transformed into a human. However, there were many compound eyes on his forehead. It was strange and nauseating. He looked Gu Chansha up and down, then looked at his cultivation. Not bad, not bad. You are indeed about to advance to the 21st transformation. However, you still need to constantly cultivate the Mahakasayapa mantra and mobilize demonic energy to merge with the demonic clouds in the sky. We cannot make any mistakes in creating the demonic heart prison thunder tribulation. This is the rule set by the demon gods. Yes, Gu Chansha nodded. In a few days, many demon gods will have a gathering. Dark Armor Foolish Kill used psychic waves to speak in demonic language. When the time comes, the demonic energy will flourish again. It will be a good opportunity for us to improve our cultivation. Within the surging demonic energy, as long as we have the opportunity, we will be able to comprehend many secrets that we normally wouldn't be able to in centuries or even millennia. Yes, most importantly, when the demonic energy surges, there will be many benefits, but our Dark Armor Great Demon race won't get much. Dark Armor said foolishly, the Dark Armor Great Devil race is the noblest among all the devil races. We're already a high and mighty noble race. Now, there are so many lowly races climbing over our heads. Damn it. Lord, what can we do to obtain more opportunities? Gu Chunsha asked deliberately. We must rescue God King Mahakasayapa. Dark Armor Foolish Kill's face was filled with sinister killing intent. This time, the leader of this matter is the lowly dwarf demon race. These lowly things actually obtained the prison-suppressing obelisk left behind by God King Mahakasayapa. A demon saint came out, and that demon saint sent his son to take charge. This way, even if we rush out of the demon domain and reach the land of infinity, killing countless sentient beings as sacrifices, the dwarf demon race will benefit the most. Gu Qinsha was silent. He already knew many things from Dark Armor Foolish Kill's memories. The dwarf demon race was very short, and their strength was not even comparable to that of humans. They were also extremely ugly. Even in the demon domain, they were like slaves. Many powerful demon races liked to slaughter the dwarf demon race to cultivate their demonic arts. Some even kept the dwarf demon race as livestock. The dwarf demon race basically had no status to speak of. However, a few hundred years ago, a dwarf from the dwarf race actually obtained the hell-suppressing obelisk left behind by God Maha. Not only did he cultivate the complete version of the hell-suppressing demonic scripture, he also rose rapidly and became a demon saint, an existence equivalent to a sage. He gathered the dwarf devil race and changed the situation of being weak in the past. They actually managed to stand shoulder to shoulder with many powerful devil races. For example, the Dark Armor Great Demon race was born with dark armor that was incomparably sturdy and powerful. Even 1,000 dwarf demons were not a match for a Dark Armor Great Demon. In the demon domain, the weak were prey to the strong. There were no rules to speak of. As for the prison-suppressing obelisk, it was rumored that it was formed from the physical body left behind by God Mahakasayapa. Although God Mahakasayapa lived in the boundless God kingdom, he would descend into the demon domain every 3,000 years. He would be reincarnated to comprehend the profundities before returning to the God kingdom. However, the physical body that was reincarnated in the demon domain would turn into a prison-suppressing obelisk that contained countless profundities and cultivation techniques. Up until now, a total of 9 prison-suppressing obelisks had appeared. In other words, God Mahakasayapa had reincarnated in the demon domain 9 times since the primordial era. The prison-suppressing obelisk could restrain all demon races. Whoever obtained 9 prison-suppressing obelisks would become the ruler of the demon race, second only to God Mahakasayapa. The demon saint of the dwarf demon race had obtained a total of 5 prison-suppressing obelisks. His strength was tyrannical, so he presided over this demon disaster. Even many noble demon races, such as the Dark Armor Great Demon race, the Flame Devil, the 6-armed Snake Devil, and even the 3-headed Dragon Devil had no choice but to submit. Of course, other than the dwarf demon race, the 5 great demon races were the goat-headed demons, the ox-headed demons, the horse-headed demons, the skeleton demons, and the blood demons. These 5 great demon races had been roped in by the dwarf demon race, and they had reached some kind of agreement. Although the Dark Armor Great Demon race was noble, it couldn't do anything to them. The internal strife within the demon race was crueler, more complicated, and more bloody than the human race. Every few hundred years, or even 1,000 years, a race would go extinct. Naturally, a new race would be born. You can leave now. Work hard to increase your strength, and listen to my orders. Dark Armor Foolish Kill added, I'll go and discuss with some of the stronger races. We can't let the lowly dwarf demon race reap all the benefits. It's simply wishful thinking for these lowly races to ride on top of us noble races. Yes. When Gu Qinsha heard these words, why do they sound so familiar? Suddenly, he remembered. Wasn't Dark Armor's words repeating Wu Dangxing's words? The Wu Dangxing felt that his sage bloodline was noble, and the others were lowly commoners. Dark Armor Foolish Kill was the same. It seemed that wherever there was life, there would be Jianghu. The demon race was no exception. Since the demon race wasn't united, there was a way to sow discord. Maybe I'll disguise myself as a dwarf demon race expert and kill this dark armor foolish kill. Gu Qinsha thought of a way to sow discord, and the success rate was very high. He watched as the dark armor foolishly left the dark iron fortress. Then he transformed into demonic aura and followed it silently. At the same time, he transformed into a dwarf demon race member. Dark armor foolish kill status in the dark armor great demon race was extremely high. Although he wasn't the tribe head, he was close. If he was killed, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. If he did this a few more times, it would cause chaos among the demon race. Then he would wait for an opportunity to steal the prison-suppressing tablet. The demon heart prison lightning tribulation required the prison-suppressing tablet's power to harmonize demonic energy and demonic nature. Otherwise, it would easily go berserk. Chapter 459. There have been a few outstanding figures in the dwarf demon race recently. I'll just transform into one of them. Dwarf Abandoned. Gu Qinsha had obtained information about the dwarf demon race from Dark Armor Foolishness. He knew that there were some outstanding figures in the dwarf demon race. He chose a powerful character called Pygmy Forsaken. Dwarf Abandoned was a freak. When it was born, there were all sorts of strange phenomena. Its parents saw countless black lotuses bursting out of the ground, and then a rain of blood fell from the sky. This demon was completely different from the other dwarf demons. It was extremely powerful and resonated with demonic nature. Its cultivation speed was extremely fast, and it could learn almost any demonic art after hearing it once. Moreover, its proficiency surpassed that of other demons who had cultivated bitterly for decades. Dwarf Abandoned's trademark was to turn into a black lotus that could suddenly appear and cut and destroy everything. At this moment, Gu Qinsha followed Dark Armor Foolishness and left the Nether Iron Stronghold. Evidently, this gathering of many high-level races was a secret joint meeting. If Gu Qinsha could take advantage of this opportunity to kill these important figures in the demon race and shift the blame to the midget demon race, he would be able to cause internal strife. Dark Armor Foolishness gradually flew into the depths of the demon realm. The depths of the demon realm became ancient and vicissitudes. At this time, Gu Qinsha made his move. His body changed slightly, and he had already turned into a pitch-black lotus. He struck out soundlessly like a bolt of lightning. Whoosh! This black lotus had already reached Dark Armor Foolishness's head. Dark Armor Foolishness suddenly came back to his senses and saw the black lotus pressing down like a world-destroying vortex. All of his magic power could not be used. Black Lotus, Dwarf Abandoned, how dare you? He had already recognized whose ultimate technique this was. Unfortunately, he could only say a few syllables before the Black Lotus completely drowned him. Gu Qinsha had killed him in one move. Gu Qinsha had now cultivated the heavenly Tao law quality. Even if it was the 20 transformations, it would still be very easy for him to kill the undying body. He could now kill the desolate ape, who was at the Vajra level, in one strike. Back then, on Mount Minor Meru, Gu Qinsha had yet to cultivate the heavenly Tao arts, but he was already evenly matched with the ape race's patriarch, Ape Desolation. At that time, Gu Qinsha was at the Tao Realm 19 transformation. On the other hand, Gu Qinsha, who had successfully cultivated the heavenly Tao art, had a combat strength that was many times stronger than when he was at the 19 transformations. When he activated all kinds of martial arts, the power he could unleash was incomparable. The heavenly Tao was a quality of magic power that no one had been able to cultivate since ancient times. The power that it could display was definitely not something that cultivators could understand or imagine. Gu Qinsha activated this Black Lotus, and as it descended from the sky, how could the monolith technique Grey Dark Armor, Fool Strike, be able to resist? In just a single encounter, his consciousness had been destroyed and refined into a talisman. Gu Chansha had obtained many memories from his body, perfecting the contents of the Maha Suppression Scripture. As one of the higher-ups of the Dark Armor Great Demon race, Fool Strike was second only to the demon god, so he had grasped many contents of the Maha Suppression Scripture. After obtaining the contents of the Scripture, Gu Chincha's understanding of the demonic nature deepened by a lot. He had killed Dark Armor Fool and Fool Strike. These two people were the absolute higher-ups of the Dark Armor Great Demons, which was equivalent to someone killing 2 of the Imperial Court's 3 dukes and 8 marquises. This would definitely cause a huge uproar. However, he wasn't satisfied. Instead, he followed the Dark Armor Fool Strike's memories and ran to the gathering location. He pretended to be a dwarf and die abandoning, causing internal strife among the demons. The gathering location was in an ancient broken temple. This broken temple was originally used to worship the Maha God, but the Maha God was sealed, so the temple slowly fell into disuse. Gu Chansha turned into demonic energy and hid. As expected, there were 3 experts of the demon race waiting in the temple. One of them was a girl. She had a human head and a snake body. She had 6 arms and was actually the 6-armed snake demon. Her cultivation was really strong, and she actually had the 24 Tao realm transformation, future peering. Unfortunately, no matter how much she could peer into the future, she couldn't see Gu Chansha. Apart from that, there was another demon who was a ball of bloodlight. The bloodlight condensed into a blood-colored eyeball. This was an expert of the blood demon race, and he actually had the undying body. The last one was actually an old man with the highest cultivation. He was dressed in a black robe and had dragon horns on his head. His aura was deep like an abyss, and no one knew his background. Amazing. This is an expert of the demon dragon race. Tao realm, 26 transformations, 10,000 techniques returned to 1. Even if I face such an expert, I will need to use a series of methods and fight for a long time before I can defeat him. If he has any treasures, I won't be able to take them down. Of course, it is impossible for him to injure or defeat me. Gu Chansha originally wanted to rush out and kill these people, but when he saw the demonic dragon elder, he immediately stopped. He calculated that if he charged up, it would be easy to kill the blood demon and 6-armed snake demon. But to deal with this old man, he would need half a day. Many things could happen in half a day, and it was enough to attract the attention of many demon god experts. When the time came, it wouldn't be worth it to alert the enemy. Let's not do anything and see what happens. I killed the Dark Armor Foolish Kill, and the news won't be hidden for long. If the Dark Armor race and the Dwarf Demon race fall out, I will have a chance. Let's wait. Gu Chansha was really patient. He was really patient, and if he wasn't, he wouldn't have lived until now. Why isn't the Dark Armor Foolish Kill here yet? The 6-armed snake demon waited for a long time and frowned. He was the one who started it. Is he messing with us? With the Dark Armor Foolish Kill's personality, he wouldn't do this. The old man divined but didn't see anything. Things are a little strange. I can't see what he's doing. Will there be a problem if we continue to wait? The blood demon expert sent out a mental wave. The Dark Armor Foolish Kill is very strict. This is a big matter that we are meeting to discuss. He definitely won't break the appointment. Not good. After a while, the old man seemed to receive the news. The Dark Armor Foolish Kill is dead. The doppelganger he had left behind in the Nethermetal stronghold had also suddenly disappeared. It had been struck by an extremely powerful curse. Someone had killed his original body and attacked his doppelganger. It was done by a gnome outcast of the gnome race. How dare you? The blood demon expert trembled. The dwarf demon race is too arrogant. The dwarf death abandoned dares to attack us? Are they trying to show off? The Dark Armor Foolish Kill is the one who initiated this meeting. It seems that the matter of us joining forces to deal with the dwarf demon race has been leaked. The dwarf demon race attacked first, and the Dark Armor Foolish Kill didn't sense any danger. This means that a demon god, or even a demon saint, has reversed the calculations of the heavens. The old man looked terrified. Let's go back immediately. Whoosh! He disappeared. This old man's cultivation is higher than ours. He runs much faster than us." The blood demon expert and the six-armed snake demon frowned. They were also preparing to leave. However, a huge black lotus enveloped them, and the two experts were immediately plunged into boundless darkness. Even the clones and imprints they had left in the Nether Iron Fortress were destroyed by some mysterious curse. After Gu Chansha cultivated to the Heaven Path grade, he was able to use the Heaven which curse killing technique easily. He was even better than Jubia. After killing the two experts, Gu Chansha left right away. After he left, a few dozen breaths later, a few demon god-level hands violently grabbed him, but to no avail. Gu Chansha had long escaped without a trace. The demon gods couldn't deduce where he was. Moreover, the aura he left was that of the dwarf death abandoned. Very good, very good. I killed 4 experts in a row. 2 of them were demons with undying bodies. One used the boulder technique, and the other used the dust technique. The 2 of them added together aren't as good as that ape desolate. But no matter what, it is still a Tao Realm 25 transformation undying body. If the Heaven Demon Tree absorbs it, it will at least gain 10 to 8 years of growth. Gu Chansha knew that he had severely weakened the strength of the demon race. As for how chaotic they would be, it wasn't something he could control. He changed again and went back the way he came. When he arrived at the broken seal of the bottomless sea of sin, he found that the millions of demonic energy in the Dark Iron Fortress had started to scatter. It was obvious that the demon race was blaming each other and didn't unite. They actually didn't fight? It seems like there is a demon god level expert suppressing them. Gu Chansha frowned. The battle between the Devil Clan and the Devil Clan that he was looking forward to did not happen. If there was a battle, then he could take advantage of the chaos and kill more experts. Obviously, his wish didn't come true. The demon gods and demon saints of the demon race seemed to be negotiating with each other. Of course, they didn't cooperate and were on their own. This slowed down the speed of the demon disaster. Could it be that I can't stop the demon race's alliance, even after killing so many higher-ups of the demon race? It seems like I can only get the prison-suppressing black steel. Gu Chansha crawled out from the broken seal because he realized that many demon god-level experts had sent out their thoughts and started to use stronger methods to seal this place. If he didn't go out now, it would be very difficult for him to leave. Of course, he could use the common people's wish sphere to tear the space, but this would alarm the demon god-level experts, and they would know that it was the calm immortal department who was playing tricks. He decided to go back and cultivate. He wanted to raise his realm to the 22 transformations, the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. That way, when he transformed, he would truly never regress. Right now, he could only call it simulation. After he reached the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he would truly transform. Moreover, he didn't need much time to break through to the 22 transformations, and he didn't have any bottlenecks. Even his puppet, the general of common people, had cultivated the final transformation of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, the river of all creation. Chapter 460. Very quickly, Gu Chansha returned to the common people's wish sphere. Without saying a word, he shot 4 talismans into the heavenly demon tree to nourish it. These 4 talismans were the dark armor foolishness of the 20th transformation, the dark armor foolishness of the 25th transformation, the dark armor foolishness of the 24th transformation, the 6-armed snake demon of the 24th transformation, and the blood demon expert of the 25th transformation. Apart from the dark armor foolishness, the other 3 were the true commanders of the dark armor great demon race, the blood demon race, and the 6-armed snake demon race. Their status was equivalent to that of the imperial court's princes. Their cultivation levels were extremely high, and any one of them could turn the entire divine land upside down. Unfortunately, they had all become food for the heavenly demon tree. After absorbing these 4 experts, the heavenly demon tree grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, the longer the heavenly demon tree grew, the slower it grew. It seems like this heavenly demon tree can only grow by absorbing true gods. Absorbing magic power is a normal thing for the heavenly demon tree. It needs to absorb the world power of God-rank experts. Gu Qinsha looked at the heavenly demon tree and wondered if he could transform into this tree and use the same function. However, after studying it for a long time, he realized that the structure of this heavenly demon tree was too complicated. Even if he cultivated the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he might not be able to do anything. This was because the heavenly demon tree also contained the power of space. In fact, it had already given birth to the power of a world. The common people's wish sphere itself was a grotto heaven-grade treasure. It contained world power that slowly nourished the heavenly demon tree and complemented each other. Unfortunately, no one in the calm deity department could activate the massive power of the sphere. The cultivation levels of the people in the calm deity department were generally very low. Heavenly demon reversal, 5 elements gathering, connate bloodline, pure essence energy. With a point of his finger, Gu Qinsha activated the power of the heavenly demon tree and himself. He communicated with many dimensions, and instantly, 5 beams of divine light pierced through the air and gathered on the heavenly demon tree branch. One was silver-white, gold. One was red, fire. One was black, water. One was green, wood. And one was yellow, earth. This was the elemental energy of the 5 elements, and it was extracted from many different dimensions. Among the countless dimensions, there were many elemental energies of the 5 elements. Some dimensions even specialized in the 5 elements, such as the metal dimension, fire dimension, water dimension, wood dimension, earth dimension. Of course, he couldn't directly absorb the 5 element essence powers. Normally speaking, when one reached the 20th transformation, cultivators would start to familiarize themselves with the 5 element essence powers. Then, they would gather the 5 element essence powers to refine and merge them into their own 5 element essence powers. Then, they would start to circulate and merge into one to reach the 21st transformation. After Gu Qinsha familiarized himself with the quality of the heavenly Tao technique, he was about to break through to the 21st transformation. To him, this was not difficult at all. Not many people in the world had the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and North Star bloodlines. Moreover, he had to crush the 5 bloodlines into one. Gu Qinsha used the Great Massacre God technique to summon the 5 element essence powers from many dimensions. He didn't absorb them himself, but let the heavenly demon tree absorb them and refine them. Slowly, under the heavenly demon tree's absorption, the impurities in the 5 element essence powers were extracted. Then, the purest 5 element essence powers turned into the shadows of the 5 saint beasts. 5 small saint beasts, azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise, formed on the heavenly demon tree. A full month passed. Gu Qinsha continued to comprehend the 5 element transformations. The 5 element saint beasts formed on the heavenly demon tree became bigger and bigger. In the end, each of them was the size of a small mountain, and they seemed to have gained spirituality. Absorb. Suddenly, the 5 element saint beasts seemed to have matured. They all fell off the heavenly demon tree and shrunk. They turned into 5 fist-sized beads and merged into Gu Qinsha's body. Then, Gu Dusha transformed into a ball of raging fire, a heavenly tree, a huge wave, a huge sword, and a huge blade. Finally, he transformed into a continent. After a month of hard work, he finally mastered the 21st Tao realm transformation, the 5 elements transformation. The 5 elements were the foundation of all things. Only when one's magic power could be transformed into the 5 element essence powers would they have the foundation to transform into all things in the world and reach the 22nd transformation, the phenomenon of heaven and earth. Congratulations, Your Highness. You comprehended the 21st Tao realm transformation so quickly. This transformation is the true foundation. As the saying goes, the clouds and the rain are all in a single thought. Zhuge Ye clapped his hands and cheered. Now, The #1 combat power of the Tranquil Immortal Department belongs to you. The Devil Clan is powerful. Although I killed several important leaders of the Devil Clan with the art of disguise and some small tricks and instigated internal strife among the Devil Clan won't stop attacking the Divine Land just because of the death of a few people. Gu Qinsha sighed. At most, I just delayed it for a period of time. During this month of cultivation, how are the Demon Race and Heaven Alliance doing? The Demon Race seems to be divided. Many demon god-level experts have started to negotiate to solve the problem. Heaven Alliance is starting to merge. I have also subdued Wudong Xing and sent him out to execute a series of plans. Zhuge, you naturally had the means to change it. Your Highness's actions this time have naturally delayed the outbreak of the Devil Disaster, but it's still a drop in the bucket. It can't stop the rolling tide. The Devil Disaster broke out because the demonic nature and spiritual nature in the world have lost their balance. Our Central Plains is now flourishing, especially during this period of time. The Marshal of the People has already recruited about 100,000 outstanding, loyal, and willing to work for the country and its people. Out of these 100,000 disciples, I picked out 100 who were absolutely loyal and didn't have any problems to teach them the first part of the Dragon Raising Heart technique. Naturally, the Dragon Raising Heart technique wouldn't be taught in one go. Gu Qinsha and Zhuge Ye had long since calculated that they would teach the Dragon Raising Heart technique in many parts. There are basically 9 parts. The first part was to accumulate the Dragon Raising Qi in one's body and strengthen one's foundation. Although the cultivator couldn't increase one's talent, even a fool would become strong after cultivating it. Their bodies would be filled with endless energy, and they would gradually become smarter. After cultivating the second part, they would become slightly talented, and the third part would be mid-talented. Only after cultivating the fourth, fifth, and sixth parts would one have superior talent. The final 3 parts required complete cultivation to have the chance to become a genius. Of course, not every fool who cultivated the Dragon Raising Heart technique would become a genius. However, there was a high chance that they would. But for those who cultivated the Dragon Raising Heart technique, even if they were as dumb as a pig, they could still become superior. In other words, they would become a general. The oath of the common people is boiling in this sphere. Gu Qinsha looked at the sky above the sphere. The oath was growing larger and larger. It was very pure, identical to his understanding of the life-mending art. It was also, if the heavenly Tao is lacking, the common people will make up for it. Of course, there was also Liu Baiyue's philosophy. If the heavenly Tao is wrong, the common people will make up for it. This oath was a ball of light, and within the light, countless voices could be heard. They were the oaths of the common people, and they kept reverberating in the sphere, causing the sphere to be in an absolute balance and perfect state of existence. It was like billions of demons were chanting the Mahakasyapa mantra. Gu Qinsha's eyes pierced through the sphere, and he saw the academy he had established in the Boorish wasteland. Within the common people's Wish Academy, there were a total of 100,000 disciples. They were a mix of men and women, and they were all cultivating and learning. They would train tens of times a day, and every time they trained, they would make an oath. Through repeated intensive training, they would infuse the philosophy of the common people, mending heaven into their souls. These disciples would cultivate, and then they would enter the boorish wasteland to clean up the monsters and demonic apes left behind. If they had some small achievements, they would be sent out to travel and spread their ideals. These were all the missions of the academy. The entire academy was managed by 360 common people marshals, and there would basically be no problems. Not to mention 100,000 apprentices. Even if there were 1 billion apprentices, the common people marshals would still manage them well. Think about it. Bao Ming had a population of about 100 million in the Great Wei Dynasty, and she still managed them very well. Moreover, the common people marshals were much stronger than her. Moreover, there were 360 common people marshals. This was all thanks to Do 19. If not for his great emperor's heavenly soldier, Even if Gu Chansha had another 100 years, he would not be able to create a puppet like the common people marshals. The world situation is still not optimistic. Zhuge Ye said, our altar in the boorish wasteland has already retreated. Princess Yuefu, Lu Yu, and the other four are no longer training and killing demons in the boorish wasteland. Otherwise, they would be suppressed by demon god level experts at any time. The demonic nature has already started to boil, and the demons are also preparing to attack us. We don't have much time left. Our current development speed is already fast enough, but we still can't keep up with the speed of the world's collapse. Once the devil disaster breaks out, the various forces in the world will all rise up. My countless predictions have all come to the same conclusion, and there are no variables. When that time comes, our calming Xian department will become the target of public criticism. The more profound Gu Chincha's magic power was, the more he knew that the world's affairs were getting more and more dangerous. On the surface, the world was at peace, and the people were singing and dancing to celebrate peace. Everywhere was peaceful, and it was an unprecedented golden age. But because of this, the spirituality and demonic nature in the world had already lost their balance, and an even greater disaster was brewing. The more prosperous the world was, the stronger the spirituality and the stronger the demonic nature's retaliation. But Gu Chensha, Zhuge Ye, and the rest of the people from the calming Xian apartment were absolutely unwilling to see the world have a chance to develop further, but they were stagnant. There were tribulations in cultivation, and the advancement of humanity was filled with tribulations. It would never be smooth sailing. Chapter 461. Is the situation really that serious? Gu Qinsha looked at the life's wish sphere. Every strand of vital energy and every inch of space within it was the result of his blood, sweat, and tears. It was unknown how many fortuitous encounters he had gone through to create it. However, from the beginning to the end, the life's wish sphere had not encountered any tribulations. A treasure that had not encountered tribulations was not a true treasure. Only after encountering many tribulations and being reborn would it be able to obtain extraordinary achievements. It was the same for humans. For example, martial emperors and Xingqiangshi. Now that these two great existences had been resurrected, even the three great celestial venerables would probably be in trouble in the future. However, tribulations were very dangerous. Basically, if they were not careful, their bodies and souls would be destroyed, and they would never be able to recover. Gu Qinsha had cultivated the heavenly Tao's magic quality. This was something that had never happened since ancient times. In a sense, he no longer had his own fate, and it would be very difficult for tribulations to bestow upon him. Moreover, as long as he hid, no one would be able to divine him. It was as if he no longer existed and was not part of the calculations of the heavenly secrets. This was different from those anomalies. Anomalies were not part of the heavenly Tao system, but they were the ones that the heavenly Tao paid attention to. Which dynasty or generation's rebels would not be noticed by the imperial court? If the entire tranquil immortal department encountered a tribulation, then only Gu Chansha would be spared. This was the result that Zhuge Ye came up with after repeated deductions. The situation is indeed serious. The upper echelons of the demon race, many demon god-level experts, and demon saints have all taken notice of us. It seems like we've already been noticed by the demonic origin power. It's also because we've been showing off our abilities and have become the vanguard of humanity's strengthening. This is especially so with the dissemination of the dragon nurturing mental art and dragon creation mental art. In fact, this matter has already destroyed the balance between spirituality and demonic nature. As this mental art spreads, more and more people's aptitudes will increase, and even spirituality will reach a pinnacle. In other words, our tranquil immortal department is no longer tolerated by the heavenly Tao. Lu Baiwei appeared in the sphere. So what? Gu Qinsha said. Don't tell me we don't have to do these things. Of course we have to do it, and we have to face it head on. Lu Baiwei replied. We are the true rulers of fate. Humans are the true controllers of the heavens Tao. Otherwise, how could we be called the wisest of all living beings? That's a must. Father's wish should also be to break the principle that prosperity is bound to decline. Once humans reach the peak of their strength, their spirituality will explode, and there will be a disaster. This is the confrontation between the spirit and the devil, and also the principle of the balance of yin and yang. What we need to do is to break the balance between yin and yang, so that humans can prosper forever and control the world. The Buddha of ancient times had done this as well. His philosophy was that everyone could become a Buddha and reach the supreme great nirvana realm. This is also the same thing that we do, but in the end, the Buddha did not complete this task and disappeared. In fact, Martial Emperor Wu also wanted to do this back then, but he himself suffered a calamity. Zhuge, you made a detailed analysis. This time, Your Highness killed those demons, but the demonic nature will not disappear because of this. I'm afraid that in a few days, in the distant mountains and forests, there will even be a passage from the demon domain, and a large number of demons will appear here. Very good. When Gu Qinsha heard this, he laughed. It just so happens that the heavenly demon tree lacks souls and blood essence to nourish its body. The appearance of demons is also a good thing. We can already condense the human dragon pill. After taking it, humans will not be afraid of demonic energy. Without the erosion of demonic energy, it will be much easier to deal with demons. We need to put in a lot of effort to create a 3-piece set. Liu Baiwei said, this is also an opportunity for our calming Xian department. The more demons there are, the more our heavenly demon tree can absorb, and the more human dragon pills, human dragon armors, and human dragon sword we can create. After this 3-piece set was equipped, even an ordinary person's combat strength would skyrocket, and they would not be afraid of ordinary demons. In a battle between armies, the army could easily destroy everything. However, what the people of the Tranquil Immortal Department were worried about were the high-level experts, the demon god, and the demon saint. Since ancient times, the true victory and defeat had always been decided after the high-level experts were revealed. Of course, it was not that the large number of ordinary people was unimportant, because they were soil and reserves. The more people there were, the higher the probability of experts being born. An expert in a small country with a population of 10 million might have a genius who could defeat a country with a population of over 100 million. But if it was a super country with a population of 1 billion or even billions or even tens of billions, with such a huge population base, there would be thousands of geniuses emerging, and they could crush a small country. Everything Gu Qinsha and the Calming Xian Department did was to increase their combat strength, and then let the population completely explode. In their vision, in the next 60 years, the population would increase tenfold, or even tenfold. Thinking about it, with the current population base, humans had already given birth to those sage clans, god clans, and many experts. If the population increased tenfold, or even tenfold, wouldn't there be many sages born like in ancient times? There were only a few basic national policies of the Calming Xian Department: exterminating demons, strengthening the country, righteous ideals, and spreading great wishes. With these as the foundation, they would continue to do it. No matter what the tribulation was, they would move forward with indomitable will. I'll first cultivate to the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, and then extrapolate the art of transformation to its limits. Gu Qinsha discussed the matter of the tribulation with Zhuge and Liu Baiwei. If the devil race really opened the passageway to their fiefdom and then unleashed something called the multitude devil heart prison thunder tribulation, what should they do? Zhuge's conclusion was that if the devil race gathered billions of devils, and the multitude devil heart prison thunder tribulation that had been brewing for so long would erupt, even the sphere of the common peoples would not be able to withstand it. At that time, the Calming Xian Department would suffer the tribulation. But now, the Calming Xian Department couldn't hide or retreat. They had to stand at the forefront of the imperial court. At present, the safest method was for Gu Qinsha to cultivate to the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth and cultivate the art of transformation to an extremely profound level. That way, he would be able to perform all sorts of tricks under the eyes of demonic gods and even demonic sages. As Gu Chencha's cultivation level increased, the quality of the Heaven Dao technique would truly reveal its various prowess. As for Zhuge, he sped up his preparations to obtain the world-burying coffin. Furthermore, he would use Dome 19 again to quickly obtain the Azure Dragon and White Tiger eggs. By strengthening the power of the sphere of the common people's will, he would be more confident in dealing with the devil's attacks. The tribulation of the devil calamity was more than 100 times greater than the one he had faced when he became the Lord of Seven Star. This was a clash between the forces of darkness and light, yin and yang. Even the three great celestial sovereigns wouldn't dare stand at the forefront of such a conflict. Generally speaking, the three great celestial sovereigns would hide in the back during a major tribulation. When the conflict was almost over, they would come out to clean up the mess, assess the situation, and reap the rewards. The final victors would always be the three great celestial sovereigns. Gu Chensha also knew that this time, it was very likely that the three great celestial sovereigns would bide their time and quietly observe the situation. To the Celestial Commerce Department, this was actually a good thing. Without the three great celestial sovereigns standing in their way, the Celestial Commerce Department would be able to secure a juicy piece of meat. The presence of devils was perhaps the greatest calamity for the Celestial Commerce Department. However, from another perspective, the devils Gu Chensha saw were nothing more than medicinal pills, suits of armor, sharp swords, and all sorts of other treasures. 5 elements revolve: extreme, Dao, transformations. Gu Chensha continued cultivating within the sphere of common people's wish. At times, his entire body of magic power would turn into a sea of fire. At other times, it would turn into an ocean. After that, it would turn into a continent, a huge tree, and a gigantic mountain of gold. This transformation continued for another month. His body's magic power turned into a continent, and on the continent grew a huge tree. Beside the tree was an ocean, and above the ocean was a huge ball of fire. In the middle of the ocean was a huge mountain shining with golden light, illuminated by the ball of fire for tens of thousands of miles. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The 5 elements were all there, growing and multiplying without end. They revolved and resonated with each other, and Gu Chensha used the heavenly Dao to perfectly revolve them. When the 5 elements body transformations evolved to the extreme, one could combine the 5 elements to give birth to all things, reaching the realm of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Gu Chensha was very familiar with this realm. He was even familiar with the highest transformation, the river of all things. Breaking through to this realm was not difficult at all. All he needed was time. Another month passed. Do 19's true body was imprisoned within. He suddenly moved. I've already brought the Azure Dragon Egg and the White Tiger Egg. The 3-month deadline is also up. Zhuge, you should let me go now. Our agreement should still be in effect. Of course. Zhuge nodded. Our calming immortal agency is the most trustworthy. Since you brought the Azure Dragon Egg and the White Tiger Egg, we won't make things difficult for you. Actually, with your strength, one more won't affect the overall situation, and one less won't be of much help to our calming immortal agency. If we kill you, we'll suffer great losses. We might as well cooperate with you. We can increase our strength together, and your position in the system of the 3 great heavenly venerables will rise. As he spoke, Zhuge had already sensed Do 19's clone. He opened up the space within the sphere of a life's wish and collected the clone. The clone wrapped around the 2 eggs. One was green, and the other was silvery white. Memory read. Zhuge immediately used some secret arts to read the clone's memories. He then activated the secret arts to augment Do 19's true body. He had already obtained all the information on how Do 19 had obtained the 2 eggs. After that, he ran through the memories repeatedly. We found no flaws, he nodded. Looks like you didn't play any tricks. Why would I? Do 19 said. I also need the bloodline of these 4 sacred beasts after they hatch. Chapter 462. Do 19 was indeed influential. He was the son of one of the 3 heavenly venerables, Do 19. Although he was hated by everyone in the Mystic Gate, no one dared to offend him. The white tiger egg was something that the 3 heavenly venerables possessed, so it was easy for him to obtain it. The azure dragon egg was in the black heaven-earth gate. After he went up, he used another white tiger egg to exchange for the azure dragon egg. The 3 heavenly venerables had more than one white tiger egg. It was extremely difficult to hatch the eggs of the 4 sacred beasts. This was also the law of the world. If it was easy to hatch, such a powerful existence would break the balance of the world. The 4 sacred beasts were so few and almost extinct because of the difficulty of hatching them. Since ancient times, only the son of heaven's sun-moon dragon blood could hatch them. Therefore, there was an ancient rumor that when the son of heaven went on patrol, the 4 spirits would accompany him. Guchansha had the sun-moon dragon blood, so he had hatched the black tortoise and the vermilion bird. However, his current heavenly law was of a higher grade than the sun-moon dragon blood. The sun-moon dragon blood was the son of heaven's blood, while the heavenly law's quality was the heavenly lord's magic power. Guchansha stopped using the 5 elements. He looked at the 2 eggs and carefully sized them up. Then, he slowly injected his magic power into them. As he did so, crack, crack, the 2 eggs immediately began to split open, giving birth to a little azure dragon and a little white tiger. There's indeed a will hidden inside. The moment the 2 sacred beasts were born, Guchansha discovered an extremely obscure and mysterious will lurking inside. If not for his heavenly law's quality, he would not have discovered it at all. Juvi suddenly pointed upwards. A golden light shone down, dispersing the obscure will completely. That golden token was the "like I am here" bestowed by the heavenly talisman emperor. This has nothing to do with me. Do 19 immediately expressed his stance. It should be the Black Heaven Earth Gates sect master's doing. This old thing has been doing this for a long time. Back then, he was the one hiding in the azure dragon of Iron Wood, but he went out for wool and came home shorn. Guchansha laughed and injected his magic power again. Immediately, a white tiger the size of a fist and an azure dragon the size of a small water snake flew up and circled around his body. Go, gather the 4 beasts. Guchansha gathered white tiger, little azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise into the heavenly demon tree to build a nest. The entire heavenly demon tree, which had gathered the 4 images, suddenly shook as if it was filled with another kind of vitality. The 4 symbols actually resonated with the stars in the sky. The 28 Fey gods were equivalent to the azure dragon's 7 mansions, the black tortoise's 7 mansions, the vermilion bird's 7 mansions, and the white tiger's 7 mansions. Now that the 4 symbols were gathered together, from a certain perspective, they had formed a complete ecology of the heavenly demon tree. Rumble. With the 4 symbols gathered, the heavenly demon tree once again glowed with vitality. Countless bursts of vitality violently erupted, and layers of dazzling light rippled between heaven and earth. Guchansha's body twisted and turned into a 5-color divine light that directly entered the heavenly demon tree, swimming among the tree's roots and leaves. After making a full circle, he came out of the heavenly demon tree and transformed back into himself. Meanwhile, the quality and realm of his heavenly path technique had been upgraded. Unity of man and tree. The man is the tree, and the tree is the man. Guchansha understood the transformation of the unity of man and tree. The heavenly demon tree itself was refined by him. In the beginning, it was the seed of the blood-sucking magic vine. In the bottomless sea of Sin Grassland, it killed countless evil spirits. Later, it absorbed the primordial spiritual treasure and finally became what it was now. This tree could be said to be his avatar, or rather, his other true body. It was just that he couldn't completely understand the secret of the tree's true body yet. Fortunately, after making a circle in the tree, he became more and more familiar with the circulation of his dermic powers. Coupled with the gathering of the 4 symbols sacred beasts, he broke through his 5 elements extreme transformation and cultivated to the 22 changes of the Tao realm, the law phenomenon of heaven and earth. In just 3 months, Gu Chansha crossed 2 major transformations from the 20 changes of the Tao realm. First, he transformed into the 5 elements, and then he reached the law phenomenon of heaven and earth. Once the law phenomenon of heaven and earth was completed, his dermic powers could really evolve into anything in the world and never regress. However, the following 23 changes, past reflection, was not so easy to comprehend. Even Zhuge and Fa Wuxian were stuck in this realm for some time. This was also an important juncture to comprehend the secret of time. Gu Chansha had long known that with his own accumulation, as long as he cultivated dermic powers, he could continuously break through realms. It wouldn't be a problem to cultivate the 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth. However, the 23 changes, past reflection, had to be accumulated and comprehended again. It was extremely difficult. Of course, no matter how difficult it was, it wouldn't be more difficult than when he comprehended from the 19 changes to the 20 changes. This change was when he directly cultivated the quality of the heavenly path technique. Since ancient times, no one had been able to comprehend this quality. Congratulations, King. You have finally cultivated to the law phenomenon of heaven and earth realm. You have broken through 2 stages. Zhuge's expression was filled with joy. With your current strength, no one below the 27 transformations is a match for you. Even if it's an expert who has cultivated the true dragon technique to the 260,000 techniques return to 1, only then would they be able to escape from you. The rest won't even be able to take 1 strike. To be able to cultivate the true dragon technique, unless one had a fortuitous encounter like Wu Dankong, one had to be a natural saint. For example, Fa Wuxian. Based on what Zhuge said, even if Fa Wuxian cultivated the 26 changes, 10,000 techniques returned to 1 and reached the peak, he could only escape from Gu Chansha. It would be extremely difficult for him to defeat Gu Chansha. Now, when Fa Wuxian fought Jing Qiu, he was also at the 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth. He wasn't even able to use the river of all beings. Even after that battle, he had pondered over the painful experience and comprehended the profundities of it. His current realm was only at the 23rd transformation, past reflection. The difference in combat strength between him and Gu Chansha was simply too great. The main reason was the difference between the true dragon technique and the heaven path technique. For example, if 2 swordsmen were to compete in swordsmanship, one would use an ordinary wooden sword, while the other would use the 9 heavens godly sword that the ancient son of heaven had obtained by killing 9,000 demon kings and sacrificing them to the heavenly Tao. How could they compete? Although the true dragon technique and heaven path technique were just 1 stage apart, the gap was just that huge. Even before Gu Chansha cultivated the heaven path technique, Fa Wuxian wouldn't be his match at the same realm, much less now. Is this the Tao realm, 22 changes, law phenomenon of heaven and earth? Gu Chansha's body moved slightly, and his powers turned into the surging river of all beings. The mountains and rivers, the commoners, the kings, the generals, and everything else were all within. The river of all beings formed a surging torrent that could refine everything, change everything, and evolve everything. Back then, when Wu Dankong comprehended the river of all beings, he had actually trapped Gu Chansha for a full month. Now, the river of all beings that Gu Chansha had transformed into was many times stronger than Wu Dankong's. Do 19 was shocked to find that the river of all beings that Gu Chansha had transformed into seemed to be able to evolve all beings and create a brand new world. He knew how amazing Gu Chansha was, And he also knew that Gu Chansha had broken through unprecedented restrictions and cultivated the heaven path technique. Even with his pride, he knew that he couldn't offend this fellow. "You should be able to let me off now, right?" Seeing the four saint beasts hatch, Do 19 said anxiously. "Of course, our calming CN department will not go back on our words." Gu Chansha was the first to express his opinion. "Of course, we have signed a series of cooperation agreements, and each of us has our own benefits. Our tranquil immortal department has taken advantage of you by obtaining the Azure Dragon and White Tiger eggs from you. Of course, if you lose, it will be our spoils of war. After all, the three celestial venerables are our mortal enemies. Of course, we will not go back on our word. We will give you the bloodlines of the North Star Beast, the Vermilion Bird, the Black Tortoise, the Azure Dragon, and the White Tiger. Then, I will use my Heaven Path technique to refine them in your body, allowing you to step into the 26 transformations, all in one level. However, although we have the four saint beasts and can give you the pure bloodlines, we can't do anything about the North Star Beast bloodline. We obtained a bit of the North Star Beast bloodline from Jing Qiu, but after absorbing it, the bloodline became extremely diluted. We can't extract it at all. That's why we still need the North Star Beast bloodline. The North Star Beast isn't oviparous. It's different from the Azure Dragon, the White Tiger, the Vermilion Bird, and the Black Tortoise." Do 19 frowned. There has only been one North Star Beast since ancient times, and it is the manifestation of the laws of the earth. The North Star Beast has no descendants. Unless we find the North Star Beast's main body and obtain its bloodline, we will be able to combine the 5 elements into one again. Of course, that will depend on your mystiques. Gu Chansha said, "How about this? I will let you go now, but you have to leave a life mark on the heavenly demon tree. How about that? You think of a way to obtain the North Star Beast bloodline, and I will refine it for you. In the future, we will work together for mutual benefit." "That's fine too." Do 19 agreed cleanly. Leaving his life mark was tantamount to handing over the key to the celestial venerables. However, it was still better than the current situation. He was eager to escape, so he didn't care. As he spoke, he gathered his birth date and his life mark, forming a talisman that he hung on the heavenly demon tree. "All right, you can go now." Gu Chansha opened the life's wish sphere and sent Do 19 out. As expected, he didn't kill him. This kid left this life mark, so we can control his every move. However, as the son of the 3 celestial venerables, he naturally has a way to sever his life mark. As long as he seeks help from his sex God-rank experts or sages, I'm afraid it will be impossible for us to completely control him. Zhu Yu was clear. Chapter 463. Do 19 used the transformation fruit's ability to mess up the celestial Dao sect. Even God realm experts had to calculate carefully to find out. And now that Gu Chansha had cultivated the heavenly Dao arts quality, he had taken another step forward. He had raised his cultivation level from 20 transformations, assemble and disperse impermanence, to 22 transformations, heaven and earth. He had raised his transformations to the extreme, and he was many times stronger than Do 19's transformation fruit. Most importantly, Empyreans would not be able to calculate the whereabouts of any powerful cultivators, saints, or even divergents. If he pretended to be Do 19, along with all of his memories, he would be able to pass off the fake as the real one. If his cultivation reached 25 transformations, even his father, victorious fighting celestial, wouldn't be able to recognize him. Currently, the strongest transformation ability was the 1,000 Transformations Stone Ape. It was born with a transformation bloodline and was even stronger than the transformation fruit. However, the transformation ability of the 1,000 Transformations Stone Ape, compared to Gu Chansha, was like heaven and earth. After cultivating the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, all of Gu Chansha's savings were used up. If he wanted to try for the 23 transformations of past reflection, he needed to go to the common people to comprehend the changes of time. He had to accumulate more comprehension before he could break through to this stage. This was a huge bottleneck. Since ancient times, many celestials were stuck at this stage. They forcefully tried to deduce, and many of them ended up going mad. The 23 transformations, past reflection, used one's spiritual power and wisdom to comprehend the secrets of light and the river of time. If one was not careful, one's consciousness would get lost in the river of time and collapse. It was often recorded in the immortal Tao that a cultivator of the 22 transformations, lawful manifestations of heaven and earth, would go into seclusion in order to comprehend the 23 transformations, past reflection. However, in the process of seclusion, their spiritual consciousness would be completely lost, and their magic power would dissipate, turning into green smoke that melted into the world. Gu Qinsha was afraid of this too. He had cultivated the quality of the heavenly Tao, although his magic power was unprecedentedly powerful, because the quality of the heavenly Tao was extremely close to the heavenly Tao. He had to use his own powerful spirit and willpower to control it. If he did not control it well, he would be like a sage who had fused with the Tao and become one with the world. The world was extremely attractive to him. Every time he cultivated, he had to be very careful and use his strongest will to resist the assimilation of the heavenly Tao. It was extremely dangerous to cultivate to the sage realm. Every time a sage used their spiritual power, they would be summoned by the laws of the heavenly Tao. For example, Zhuge Ye had taken advantage of the critical moment when the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor was resisting the assimilation of the heavenly Tao to bring Wu Dankong to the evil spirit continent and absorb the Emperor's qi in the Black-Yellow Pagoda. As for the quality of Gu Qinsha's heavenly Tao technique, as his cultivation level increased, the heavenly Tao's ability to assimilate him became stronger and stronger. Of course, this was also a great training for his spirit and willpower. It would also be of great help to him in comprehending the path of divergence. If he comprehended the path of divergence one day, he would be able to sever the heavenly Tao's assimilation of him. At that time, his cultivation would truly be unimaginable, and his potential might even surpass that of the 3 great heavenly venerables. However, comprehending the path of divergence was extremely difficult. Gu Qinsha pondered. Even if it was Jing Xiu who wanted to comprehend it, he only had a 1 in 10,000 chance. As for Jing Fanqing, it was basically impossible. Jing Fanqing had been created by Do 19 and had recovered some of his strength. This was actually not a good thing for him. For such a small character, Gu Qinsha did not even have a desire to deal with him. "What do you plan to do now, Your Highness?" asked Zhuge Ye. "The demon disaster is about to break out, and the world is in turmoil. Even the demon race can unite, but we humans are still divided." Gu Qinsha sighed. After all this time, it seems that the calming immortal department is the one who is truly thinking about the world. Father is not here, and even the heavenly craftsman department is slacking off. Right now, I have to go to the major families and force them to express their stance. They want to form an alliance against the demon race, with the calming immortal department as the leader. We will take the initiative to attack from the bottomless sea of sin. If the major families can work together and use all of their trump cards, we can destroy the demon race's nether iron fortresses in one strike. That's impossible. Lu Baiwe shook her head. These aristocratic families are just waiting for the demon disaster to break out so that they can fish in troubled waters and reap enough benefits. How could they let our calming immortal department be the leader and waste their savings to defeat the demon race? They can't wait for the demon race to destroy our calming immortal department in one fell swoop and then come out to divide our treasures. The calming immortal department had already become a huge piece of fat meat. Just the common people's wish sphere and the heavenly demon tree were already coveted by many powers. That may be the case, but we are still the unified imperial court. On the surface, the major families are still subservient to the imperial court. Our calming immortal department can also supervise the major families. Now that the demon disaster is brewing and is about to break out, our calming immortal department doesn't care about the attitudes of the major families. On the surface, we still need to notify them and form an alliance. If the major families refuse, our calming immortal department can spread the news to the world and create public opinion, making the major families the target of public criticism. Gu Qinsha had his own plans. Moreover, ever since we established our calming immortal department, we have never formally paid a visit to the major families. We still have to pay them a visit out of courtesy. As for their attitude, we'll see. After I visit the major families in the name of our calming immortal department, I'll disguise myself as Wudong Xing and pay them a visit again. Even if the major families don't defend against the demon disaster, we still have to guard against them stabbing us in the back. We need to know ourselves and our enemies. It's good to use diplomacy before force. Our calming immortal department is tolerant. Zhuge Ye's expression turned sharp. If the major families refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then there's no need for us to be polite with them. If we really want to use the demon disaster to throw the universe into chaos and rob them while they're down, then we need to first settle our internal affairs. As long as the imperial court and humanity work together, there's actually no need to fear the demon disaster. Humanity's foundations are extremely deep. Even the major sects of the immortal Tao are mostly formed by humans. Gradually, they've become immortal cultivators. Liu Baiyue said, "The greatest hidden danger of every demon disaster is humans killing each other." Some of the major families even reach an agreement with the demon race in order to protect themselves. We can't allow that to happen this time. That's only natural. The major sects of the immortal Tao are the same. However, they're not above the central divine continent. Unlike the major families, the disciples of the major families directly participate in the imperial court's politics. A large portion of them are still local officials. For example, in the Wu province, at least half of the officials are disciples of the Wu clan. Apart from that, there's another 30% who are more or less connected to the Wu clan. If the world is in turmoil and the imperial court's authority is slightly weakened, then whatever orders the Wu clan gives, these officials will immediately abandon the imperial court, and the entire Wu province will become the Wu kingdom. Zhuge Ye said, "After all, His Majesty has only unified the world for 24 years and hasn't taken root yet." To eliminate the influence of the major families, the only way is for His Majesty to personally rule for 100 years. It's a pity that His Majesty has gone into seclusion and left Wu Dangkong in the upper study to oversee the country, causing the power of the major families to rise again. After all, our Celestial Tranquility Department's foundations are shallow, so it's difficult for us to overthrow them. If Mr. Zhuge had become a god, then Baiyue, the fourth, and I would have been able to do the same. It wouldn't have been difficult for us to suppress the major families. Unfortunately, the demon disaster is about to break out. Gu Qinsha suddenly asked, "That's right, about the interstellar burial coffin, the peerless heavenly tome, and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. How are we going to collect them all into the sphere?" Back then, Zhuge Ye and Gu Qinsha had come up with a plan to first have Jin Suibo capture the peerless heavenly tome, then obtain the interstellar burial coffin and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. But now, these plans had not been completed. However, they had obtained the central Wutu Great Virtue flag and the myriad demon human transformation painting. Both of these treasures had been melted into the heavenly demon tree, and they had even obtained the Tianyi Pearl as a supplement. This huge achievement was not inferior to obtaining the peerless heavenly tome and the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. I have to go through a lot of preparations to obtain the interstellar burial coffin. It's not something that can be done in a day. Since Your Highness has already cultivated the heavenly law, we can advance our plan. As for the peerless heavenly tome, Suibo has already grasped its trajectory. These days, we have been laying down traps to lure the book out. Once the book appears, it will be the best time for us to go all out. Zhuge Ye said, "I have been carrying out the plan step by step. I have also deduced the whereabouts of the third volume of the eternal heavenly tome. So that's how it is. Let's capture the peerless heavenly tome first." Unfortunately, the jade mountain that sealed Xing Qiongshi has disappeared from the bottom of the sea. If it were still there, I could refine it completely and fuse it into our sphere. That way, the sphere's sturdiness would probably increase by a few realms, Gu Qinsha said. Xing Qiongshi is indeed powerful. I have still underestimated him, Zhuge Ye said with a solemn expression. Wu Dangkong has probably reached some kind of agreement with him behind the scenes. In that case, I will first pay a visit to the School of Legalism. I will pay a visit to the entire aristocratic family first. Gu Qinsha said, I will immediately sense the whereabouts of the peerless heavenly tome. After that, I will return to capture him. That is the only way, Zhuge Ye said. Go ahead, Your Highness. Princess Yuefu and the other core members of the Calming Immortal Bureau should focus on running the College of the People's Wish. The College of the People's Wish is another place where the devil calamity will erupt. We must guard it. Liu Baiyuan knew the importance of this. She couldn't go to the demon domain to fight at the moment, so she could only coordinate everything and command the general of the People's Wish. She had to groom the talents of the college and move the world. After making all the arrangements, Gu Qinsha once again flew out of the sphere of the People's Wish and headed to the Dharma province. He had been cultivating in the sphere for more than 3 months. It was already spring in the 24th year of the heavenly talisman. The world was filled with grass and birds. Spring was warm, and all living things were sprouting. The weather in the wildlands had also become hot and humid. Chapter 464. The School of Legalism was definitely the #1 aristocratic family. The Dharma saint was the founder of the human Tao order. Among the 7 ancient human sages, his power surpassed even the martial sage. He had created the omniscient Dharma realm for the School of Legalism. Rumor had it that the Dharma saint had gathered many connate treasures from the primordial tree and fused them into one to forge the unified Dharma ring. It was also rumored that the Dharma saint had spent his entire life pursuing the quality of the heavenly Tao. Rumor had it that the quality of his magic power surpassed that of the ancient sons of heaven and was the closest to the quality of the heavenly Tao. He had already reached the quality of a 9 true dragon Dharma. In ancient times, the Dharma saint had divided the quality of the true dragon Dharma into 9 levels. Ordinary innate saints, ancient heavenly sons of heaven, could only cultivate the true dragon art to the 5th level, the so-called 9-5 sovereign. Only an extremely small number of sages and sons of heaven could break through the miracle and reach the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th levels. That was because cultivating the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma was already the limit. If one forcefully cultivated it further, they would be competing with the heavenly Tao. As the saying went, the dragon soared in the sky and truly stood at the pinnacle. If one wanted to take another step forward, they would have to repent. For example, the quality of Fa Wuxian's magic power could only reach the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma at most. It was the same for Wu Dangkong. As for Zhuge Ye, it seemed that his magic power could break through the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma and reach an even higher level in the future. However, there was a drawback. Rumor had it that the Lord of 7 Stars had only come in response to a tribulation. Once the tribulation was over, he would return to his roots. Gu Qinsha's Marshal of the People's Dharma was also at the 5th level of the true dragon Dharma. Only he himself, with the help of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's bloodline and countless fortuitous encounters, had cultivated the rarely seen quality of the heavenly Tao since ancient times. He had achieved unprecedented accomplishments. However, it was precisely because of this that many of the ancient experiences were no longer suitable for him. He had to figure them out on his own. He also knew that in the future, as he cultivated the true dragon Dharma, problems that only sages would face as his cultivation level increased. One had to become one with the heavenly Tao, and the power of the heavenly Tao would grow stronger and stronger until they completely fused. This was the reason why he had come to the School of Legalism. There is a secret rumor that said that the Dharma saint was different from many other saints. He did not truly fuse with the heavenly Tao. Instead, he stayed behind and hid, secretly protecting the School of Legalism. The ancient 7 saints were the saint of literature, the saint of martial, the saint of war, the saint of engineering, the saint of agriculture, the Dharma saint, and the saint of Brahma. Among them, the Dharma saint established order and rules, and his strength was the highest among the saints. The information that Gu Chansha obtained was that the Dharma saint had been researching the true dragon technique and the heavenly path technique. At the same time, he was also studying the profoundness of the heavenly Tao technique. If Gu Chansha could obtain these things from the legalists, it would be extremely beneficial to his cultivation. Although he had mastered the quality of the heavenly Tao and had a certain understanding of this technique, his research might not be as profound as that of the Dharma saint. I must obtain the results of the Dharma saint's research and his understanding of magic power. Only by analyzing it layer by layer can I perfect my calculations of magic power. The Dharma saint's research and understanding of magic power is far beyond what I can compare with. As Gu Chansha thought to himself, he had already arrived at the Dharma province. The Dharma province was extremely large. It had 108 provinces, which had been personally divided by the ancient Dharma saint. The Dharma province was vast and fertile. Since ancient times, it had been governed by laws. Even during the most chaotic Dark Age, when the world was in chaos, the people of this land were safe and sound because of the protection of the legalists. The people had lived according to the laws of the legalists for thousands of years. From a certain point of view, the legalist protection of a province was a great merit. At the same time, the Dharma province was the most populous and largest province in Yanko. 10 years ago, the population of the Dharma province had already reached a few hundred million. But now, it should have exceeded 1 billion. Because of this, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's Empress was also a woman from the legalist school. When Gu Chansha stepped into the Dharma province, he only felt that there was order everywhere. When the people lived, they all had their own rules. Because of this, the efficiency was extremely high. The officials also paid attention to the laws and were meticulous. Looking at the chief flow of the entire Dharma province, it was actually clear and bright. The Dharma province was also the safest. Even in the past, bandits and heroes of the pugilistic world wouldn't dare to cause trouble in the Dharma province. The scenery in the cities of the Dharma province was beautiful. However, the layout was solemn and awe-inspiring. As Gu Chansha toured around, he inwardly nodded. It wasn't without reason that the legalists were so powerful. If the rumors are true, and the Dharma saint actually succeeded in resisting the summons of the heavenly Taos and didn't attempt the Tao merge, then that's terrifying. But it's also possible. For example, the ancient Lord of the Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, didn't return to the Seven Stars after his death. Instead, he stored himself in the world-burying coffin. Gu Chansha walked around the city of the Dharma province before arriving at the governor's mansion. The governor of the Dharma province was called Wen Hanlong. He wasn't someone from the legalist school. This was a rule of the imperial court. Every province with a 1,000-year-old aristocratic family couldn't have a governor who was a descendant of the local aristocratic family. Otherwise, if they colluded, the imperial court's decrees would basically be impossible to carry out. Wen Hanlong was an official personally appointed by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. He was also a descendant of an aristocratic family and a descendant of the Sage of Literature. The Sage of Literature revered etiquette, while the Dharma saint revered laws. The two complemented each other, but they also clashed. In other words, the Sage of Literature valued human relations, while the Dharma saint valued rules. The so-called laws of reason. Wen Hanlong was a descendant of the One clan. Since he came to the Dharma prefecture to be the governor, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's intention was to combine the One clan's etiquette with the legalist school's laws. He wanted to see if he could create a more perfect form of order. At the same time, he wanted the One clan to restrain the legalist school, lest the legalist school became too dominant. Gu Chansha was the department head of the Imperial Court's Department of Calming Immortals and was also a king. He had a high status and authority. This time, when he came to the Dharma prefecture, according to the Imperial Court's rules, he had to meet the governor first. After that, the governor would inform the legalist school. Although Wen Hanlong was a descendant of the One clan, He was also a member of the imperial court. 10 years ago, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor frequently summoned this person and nurtured him. It could be said that this person was indebted to him for recognizing his worth. The Department of Calming Immortals had also done some research in secret. They discovered that if the One Clan and the Imperial Court were to clash, this person would definitely protect the Imperial Court. He was also a loyal existence. Gu Chensha directly arrived at the governor's manor and immediately discovered Wen Hanlong's aura. This person was only in his 30s and had the appearance of a youth. He could be said to be a young hero. At the age of 18, he was nurtured by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. At this moment, Wen Hanlong was sitting on the upper floor of the governor's manor. He had a cup of green tea and an ancient book. He was looking at the clouds floating in the sky. It was very peaceful and carefree. Lord Hanlong is very comfortable. Gu Chensha appeared in the attic. When Wen Hanlong saw that it was Gu Chensha, he slowly put down the ancient book and bowed to the ground. "Greetings, Your Highness." "Oh, from the looks of it, it seems that you already knew that I would come." Gu Chensha was a little surprised. "It seems that Your Highness should come to the Dharma Prefecture." After Wen Hanlong bowed, he stood up and still had the air of a scholar. "Right now, the seal of the invincible sea of sin is broken, and the demonic aura is boiling. I'm afraid that the great calamity recorded in the history books will break out again. Originally, this calamity should only break out in a few hundred years. However, because the world is developing too fast, in just a mere 24 years, it has already surpassed the development of a few hundred years. The human Tao is flourishing, and it has caused the demonic aura to boil. The Department of Calming Immortals is already standing on the front line of the calamity. Apart from accumulating strength, what Your Highness needs to do is to contact the various aristocratic families to fight the demon together. This is something that the dynasty has to do. It seems like you know the world like the back of your hand, as expected from a talent that father likes. The Dharma Prefecture is the top prefecture in the Central Divine Continent. You have been the governor here for many years, so it is impossible for you not to have skill. I think that your cultivation is no lower than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. Your future is limitless." Gu Chensha glanced at him and could see that Wen Hanlong's cultivation was really shocking. He had reached the 20th transformation of Tao Realm, gathering and dispersing impermanence. He had also cultivated the Vajra technique. At such a realm, he was already the Grand Elder of the Xiantian celestial sect. He controlled a palace and had a high status. In the world, the governor-level people were usually at the 5th transformation of the Tao realm, the 100 apertures, or the 6th transformation of the Qi refining into astral energy. The best one was at the 7th transformation of the levitating sky and the 8th transformation of the Samadhi true fire. If they cultivated to the 9th transformation of the glass jade body, then they would be used differently. This was the explosion that happened in the last 5 to 6 years. The governor-level officials had really good benefits. Apart from large amounts of money, they also received pills and cultivation techniques. During these years, the Calm Celestial Division had conquered thousands of second- and third-rate celestial sections. They received large amounts of taxes each year, and a portion of it was given to the treasury to pay the officials. It was obvious that when Hanlong's cultivation was so high not because of the government's salary or treatment, but because he had a fortuitous encounter. "Your Highness's eyes are really sharp," one Hanlong said. "Your Highness, in the battle in the demon domain, you directly defeated the joint forces of the 4 great experts of the Immortal Tao sect, and your fame has already spread far and wide. Now it seems like Your Highness' strength has increased by who knows how many times compared to before. How could my insignificant abilities enter Your Highness' eyes?" "Hanlong, there is no need to belittle yourself. With your cultivation, you can compare to the 3 dukes and 8 marquises." Gu Chensha waved his hands. "I came to visit the legalists. Do you think they'll give me face? Last time, when Jing Fanqing tried to assassinate me, I went to Jingzhou to visit the Jing family, but they didn't give me any face at all. Don't worry, Your Highness. The Jing family is plotting a rebellion. Moreover, you're like the sun in the sky. The calm celestial division wiped out the ape race and even made the three apes suffer. No matter how strong the legalists are, they will have to think twice. After all, the 1,000 transformation stone ape, yin-yang ghost ape, and diamond fighting ape are all God realm experts. Wen Hanlong seemed to know a lot of intel. Chapter 465. The Wen family still treats me as an outsider. After all, I have submitted to the imperial court and am greatly indebted to His Majesty. If His Majesty had not promoted me back then and bestowed me with the dragon creation chi, turning me into a peerless genius, how could I have achieved what I have today? When Han Long said, "My cultivation today is all thanks to His Majesty. How could I have any ulterior motives?" The Wen family is actually on the same side as the other aristocratic families and will definitely not assist the Calmness Immortal Department in resisting the Devil Calamity. Your Highness should be very clear about this. There's actually such a layer? Gu Chunsha only knew that when Han Long was promoted by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, but he did not expect that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had actually obtained the Dragon Creation Chi, directly raising one Han Long's aptitude to the pinnacle of peerless geniuses. It seemed that although the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had disappeared in seclusion and did not come out for a long time, he had hidden many chess pieces throughout the country. He definitely did not just let the Calmness Immortal Department take the lead. As the situation developed, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor would plant more and more chess pieces. The bloodline in Gu Chincha's body, the Death Exemption Talisman, Man Conquers Nature, and the Like I Am Here token all had unexpected effects. For example, the Death Exemption Talisman directly resisted the attacks of several saint-level experts, turning the Book of Heaven Demon, Buzhou Palace, Dragon Gate, and the three Heavenly Venerables will into the will of the people's sphere. And the Man Conquers Nature painting distorted the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman, allowing him to share the sacrificial power equally with Wu Dankong. As for the Like I Am Here token, Liu Baiyue had gradually comprehended its power. In the future, her cultivation would probably increase to a terrifying level. And this when Han Long was clearly a chess piece left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. The moment this matter was said, Gu Qinshan knew that when Han Long was completely trustworthy. Not only do the aristocratic families have their own ulterior motives, but they are also secretly resisting father. Gu Qinsha sighed. If the aristocratic families could work together for the imperial court, why will we be afraid of the Devil Calamity? Countless emperors of the past dynasties have thought so as well. However, even the ancient Son of Heaven could not achieve the unity of all living beings. Not to mention the unity of all living beings, they could not even achieve the unity of the heavens and earth. Wen Han Long was consoling Gu Qinsha. Everyone has their own ambitions. You can't force them. Every aristocratic family has their own plans. Gu Qinsha's heart skipped a beat. There were 3 moves in the Son of Heaven's God-sealing art. Sun and moon shine together, heaven and earth share longevity, and all beings share one heart. He had already successfully cultivated the sun and moon shine together move, but he was still not familiar with the heaven and earth live together move. Furthermore, from ancient times until now, there had been many Son of Heaven who had cultivated the heaven and earth live together move, but not a single one had mastered it. If one succeeded, their lifespan would truly be comparable to that of the heavens and earth. However, not a single ancient emperor had lived to this day. As for the unity of all living beings, that was an ideal. All living beings in the world had different aspirations, so how could they possibly be of one mind? The Son of Heaven's God bestowment technique meant that even if one's power was comparable to the sun and moon, and one's lifespan was comparable to that of heaven and earth, it was impossible for one to have the hearts and minds of all living beings in the world. Hearing Wen Hanlong's words, Gu Qinshan nodded and said, "Indeed, it would be strange if the aristocratic families could join hands to fight against the imperial court. No matter what, we should first use peaceful measures before resorting to force. I want to see what kind of attitude the experts have. Even if they don't join hands to fight against the imperial court, it's fine as long as they bide their time. What I'm afraid of is that when the time comes, they will stab us in the back. When the imperial court encounters an external threat, the aristocratic families will start to take control of the provinces where they are located. In an instant, the imperial court will fall apart. I can't rule out that possibility. When Hanlong nodded, actually, that's what all the aristocratic families were planning to do. Recently, the Tranquil Immortal Department actually began to disseminate the Dragon Raising Heart Sutra and the Dragon Creation Heart Sutra. The impact on the aristocratic families was simply devastating. In the face of these two Heart Sutras, the aristocratic family's advantage was practically non-existent. It would be strange if the aristocratic families didn't make a move against the Tranquil Immortal Department. If this goes on, even if there are no demons, the aristocratic families definitely won't allow these two Heart Sutras to spread throughout the world. Otherwise, in a few decades, there will be no aristocratic families left. For the sake of us humans standing at the peak of the world, we have no choice but to do this. Gu Qinsha laughed coldly. If we humans are unable to progress for the sake of the interests of these aristocratic families, then these aristocratic families will become obstacles to the development of the world and must be eradicated. That's my opinion too. When Hanlong said, "The school of legalism is extremely powerful, and their rule over the Dharma province is even more deep-rooted. I've been the governor here for many years, but I still haven't been able to do much. I can only barely maintain the situation. If the devil calamity breaks out, the school of legalism will probably be the first to imprison me, then take over the entire Dharma province and establish their own country. I'm planning that even if Prince doesn't come looking for me, I will go to the Tranquil Immortal Department to explain the situation." "Very good." Gu Qinsha nodded. "Don't worry. With the Tranquil Immortal Department around, we definitely won't let such a thing happen. How is Fa Wuxian now? Also, rumors say that the Dharma Saint is still alive and hasn't merged with heaven and earth. You have been in Dharma province for so many years. Have you heard any news?" I am afraid that the rumors are true. When Hanlong's expression was really solemn and solemn. "Prince, based on all the signs, the Dharma Saint comprehended some sort of secret technique and is hiding in the depths of the chaotic space current. He is communicating with all the Dharma realms. All Dharma realms are really mysterious. When I fought Fa Wuxian and he used it on me, I knew that this change was to go against the summoning of the heavens." Gu Qinsha frowned. Fa Wuxian was injured not long ago and returned to the school of legalism to cultivate. But it was said that he survived and his cultivation improved. He has reached the 23 Dao realm transformations and is at the crucial step of breaking through. When Hanlong said, "This person is lawless, and I know that he has tried to deal with Prince many times. Prince must be careful of this person. It is okay. To me, this person is like a chicken or dog. I can kill him with a flick of my finger." Gu Qinsha wasn't bragging. Not to mention that he cultivated the Heaven Path technique. Even if he didn't, with his 22 transformations cultivation, he could kill Fa Wuxian's 23 transformations. Fa Wuxian's biggest advantage was his talent. He was a natural saint. Gu Qinsha's talent was also that of a natural saint. Fa Wuxian had no advantage in front of him at all. I will head to the school of legalism and tell them that Prince is here. Let's see how they react. When Hanlong cupped his fists and disappeared. This one Hanlong is a really strong talent. He is no weaker than the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the governor of Dharma province for so long. It seems like we need to support him with pills, armor, and swords to increase his strength. Gu Qinsha thought for a moment. The governors and inspector generals of the world are the backbone of the power. Our calming immortal department must rope them in and nurture them. Gu Qinsha had seen many governors like Xian Prefecture, Wu Prefecture, and Jing Prefecture. They were all loyal to the court, but they were a little weak. If all of them had Golden Core Realm cultivation, then it would be perfect. How prosperous would the world be then? It is hard to change the situation within the Central Plains God Prefecture. However, the vast wilderness can absorb people and then use general people's life as the governor to manage it. While managing, one can obtain the human Tao luck. Gu Qinsha sat down cross-legged in the governor's estate. Then he used a bit of his magic power to form an eye, which he sent up into the sky. It merged with the light of the sun, allowing him to observe everything that was happening in Dharma Province. The Dharma Province covered an area of 500,000 kilometers in circumference and was rich in terrain. There were plains, mountain ranges, hills, and enormous lakes and rivers. There were even snowy mountains, deserts, and primeval forests. However, the layout of the Dharma Province, whether it was the mountains or the rivers, had been transformed by the ancient Dharma saint. The spiritual energy in the Dharma Province had gradually converged into an enormous vein of the Dharma Dragon. The head of the Dharma Dragon vein was where the School of Legalism was located. The School of Legalism's clan palace was built on top of the dragon's head, in a location with excellent feng shui. This mountain was different from the Wu clan's mountain. The Wu clan's mountain had flowing springs and waterfalls, trees, birds, and all sorts of animals. It was filled with life. The School of Legalism's mountain was forged from a type of black iron. It was hundreds of kilometers in circumference and was not formed naturally. Someone had used immense magic power to forge the Iron Mountain, which was also inscribed with countless laws. An aura of imperial law emanated from it. The law was the law, and the rules were the rules. There were no human emotions to speak of. This was the style of the School of Legalism. They were impartial and impartial. They measured with an iron ruler and judged everything with an iron pen. Many palaces had been built at the foot of the Iron Mountain, which had a circumference of hundreds of kilometers and a height of thousands of kilometers. Gu Qinsha knew that the Iron Mountain was not actually black iron, but the imperial law jade iron refined by the Dharma saint. For thousands of years, it had absorbed the Dharma Province's dragon vein and human path providence. It had suppressed the Dharma Province's dragon vein and provided a lot of power to the School of Legalism's Dharma realm. Furthermore, in the past 20 years or so, due to the development of the imperial court, the entire Dharma Province's population had increased rapidly. The human path providence had also increased greatly. As a result, the School of Legalism's strength had actually increased. The School of Legalism has actually suppressed the dragon veins of the earth. It's no wonder that a natural-born saint like F.A. Wuxian was born. As Gu Qinsha observed, he discovered quite a number of ingenious aspects of the School of Legalism. After waiting for a day, clouds suddenly appeared in the sky. When Han Long and a person came to the governor manor. This person was an old man who was dressed in white. His cultivation was really high, and his body was covered in spiritual power. He spun around and was one with everything in the world. He was actually at the Tao Realm 22 transformation phenomenon. Moreover, this old man was actually of the Vajra technique grade. I am a School of Legalism's Grand Elder, F.A. Lufeng. I heard that king is here, so I rushed over to welcome you. The old man cupped his hands. He was quite polite and didn't give him face like the Jing family. Chapter 466. F.A. Lufeng was also looking at Gu Qinsha. Naturally, he had a secret technique to observe his cultivation. But when he used it to check on Gu Qinsha, he only felt that Gu Qinsha was filled with heavenly might. He was high up and looked down on all living beings. He couldn't see through his cultivation at all. When he tried to probe deeper, he felt an instinctive fear. He couldn't even control his magic power. In front of Gu Qinsha, he felt like an ant looking at the sky. How is this possible? F.A. Lufeng couldn't help but feel terrified. Even when I was worshipping the Dharma saint, I didn't feel this way. Why does he have such an aura? Did he surpass the Dharma saint? That's impossible. He must have used the power of some secret treasure. Maybe it's something left behind by the heavenly talisman emperor. The legalists had god-level experts. As the #1 world in the Central Plains for thousands of years, their foundation surpassed most celestial sections. Even the Black Heaven Earth sect, which was the top of the 72 immemorial mystical sects, didn't dare to say that they could surpass the legalists. If the rumors were true, that the Dharma Saint was still alive and hadn't merged with the heavenly laws, then the Black Heaven Earth sect would probably be at a disadvantage. Although the Black Heaven Earth sect leader was a saint-level expert, compared to an ancient great saint like the Dharma Saint, he was still a baby who had just learned to walk. As the legalists had a strong foundation, F.A. Lu Feng, who was the legalist grand elder, was very knowledgeable. His understanding of the quality of magic power far exceeded that of ordinary celestial cultivators. He had thought that Gu Chansha had just had some fortuitous encounter, and that his foundation was actually quite weak. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. In front of Gu Chansha, he instinctively felt that he was extremely small and insignificant. It was like the difference between a speck of dust and a mountain. In reality, that was the case. With Gu Chincha's current cultivation and the quality of the heavenly laws, he had cultivated the 22 transformations of heaven and earth. With his cultivation, as long as a cultivator hadn't cultivated the true dragon technique, even if they were at the 26 transformations of heaven and earth, he could instantly kill them. F.A. Liufeng's Vajra technique quality was the same as his realm. He could simply kill them with a single breath. F.A. Liufeng's Vajra technique quality was the same as his. In fact, Gu Chansha was now capable of secretly transforming a strand of his magic power into F.A. Liufeng's magic power, allowing it to seep into his body and enter his sea of wisdom to obtain the countless secrets of the school of legalism. However, F.A. Lu Feng was completely unaware of it. However, Gu Chansha was not prepared to do so. Firstly, he wanted to be polite before resorting to violence against the legalists. Secondly, if the Warlock Saint was still around, he might sense something. According to the legends, the Warlock Saint had been pursuing the Heavenly Path technique all his life. His research on the quality of the True Dragon technique was especially deep. It was rumored that he had mastered the 9 levels of the True Dragon technique, which was the first in history. Chun Gu Chun Hu Eden Shan at. He had Chun He Shun He Shun Si and Shun Chun He Ji He Shun Chun at Gu He. Ji Ti Sien Tian Sien Ji I Jian. No wonder the Department of Calmness has developed so quickly. Even the 3 divine apes suffered a loss. F.A. Lu Feng calmed himself and stopped spying. He was afraid. The Department of Calmness actions had shocked the world. The aristocratic families had no choice but to take it seriously. The 3 divine apes, the 1,000 transformation stone ape, the Yin-Yang ghost ape, and the Vajra combat ape, had all suffered. Who would have thought that the tiny calming immortal department, which had yet to achieve anything, would actually be able to easily defeat the ape race? It wasn't a big deal for the department to defeat Jing Xiao. After all, House Jing was too weak. The apes had been a great race among the monster spirits since ancient times. The chaotic demon ape god had become a god and shaken the world. My cultivation is just a bit faster. It's nothing to brag about. Gu Qinsha waved a hand. I heard Brother Wuxian was injured when you fought Jing Xiao for the Myrtle Imperial Star secrets. I wonder how you've recovered. If you haven't, I can help. Our celestial demon tree has been refined and can condense many rare primordial spirit herbs. Thank you for your kindness. F.A. Wuxian is in seclusion. Even I don't know when he'll come out. I'm really sorry that I can't meet with King. F.A. Lu Feng also knew some secrets, but he didn't know about Gu Chincha's fight with Jing Xiao for the profoundness of the Myrtle Imperial Star. Immediately, he had an idea. F.A. Wuxian wasn't a direct descendant of the school of legalism. Even though he was a natural-born saint, he hadn't made much of a name yet. He wouldn't tell his family some secrets to prevent his competitors from finding out. Many disciples of the school of legalism were extremely jealous of F.A. Wuxian. They wanted nothing more than to kill him. Any great family would have internal strife, especially in a saint's family. The internal strife was even more bloody. There were schemes, infighting, and all sorts of things. It seems like the school of legalism still doesn't know that Jing Xiu has the Myrtle Imperial Star's secrets. Fa Wuxian didn't say anything either. Gu Chensha nodded inwardly. He'd killed two birds with one stone by saying that. How miraculous was the Myrtle Imperial Star? Even the school of legalism coveted the secrets of the stars. King is here to visit the school of legalism. After all, the school of legalism produced the Empress and is inseparable from the imperial court. Speaking of which, King is also related to the school of legalism, when Han Long said, "I'm here to welcome King," Fa Lufeng said. "Our school of legalism has already prepared a banquet and invites King to attend. King is here to represent the Celestial Tranquility Department. Our school of legalism doesn't dare to slight you. In that case, let's not waste any time. I also have something to discuss with the school of legalism." Gu Chensha floated into the air. This lowly official respectfully sends off King. When Han Long hurriedly bowed, Gu Chensha nodded and left Dharma State City with Fa Lufeng. They arrived at the head of the Dharma State's Great Dragon Vein, at the foot of the school of legalism's Iron Mountain, where countless palaces were located. This was the foundation of the school of legalism. I wonder how King's discussion with the school of legalism will turn out. When Han Long watched as Gu Chensha left, the great calamity is coming. The demonic nature and spiritual nature are about to clash again since ancient times. However, the calamity this time is probably much greater than any in history. I'm guarding Dharma State. What should I do? Just as he was thinking, a light suddenly flashed in front of him, and a general of the people appeared. He cupped his hands at Wen Han Long. "Lord Governor, I've come under orders to cooperate with you. Our Celestial Tranquility Department will provide you with a large number of human dragon pills, human dragon armor, and human dragon sword. We will nurture capable people for you to better supervise Dharma State and maintain the Imperial Court's order." "That's great." When Han Long was overjoyed, he knew that this general of the people was a puppet, but he didn't have the mechanical coldness of a puppet. On the contrary, he was very calm and knowledgeable. Every move he made had the air of a sage, and he was very dignified, just like a sage. Naturally, he was sent by Gu Chensha. When Han Long was loyal to the imperial court, so, as the head of the Celestial Tranquility Department, he had to help him. At the same time, he wanted to rope him in. A top talent, an expert at Dao Realm Transformation 20, was worth roping in. At that moment, Gu Chensha had already landed in front of the legalism sect. The legalism sect was built on a vast plain. The palaces stretched out, and the Iron Mountain was like an ancient pillar that supported the sky. It was unique on the plains. The palaces of the legalism sect were really solemn. They were connected to one another and were tall and wide. Even the shortest one was hundreds of feet tall. Some of the main palaces were 10,000 feet tall and were no different from mountains. Anyone who saw these palaces would know that they couldn't be built by humans. Thus, they were filled with respect. Ever since the Dharma Saint was born, the school of legalism had never declined in a great tribulation or era. The entire Dharma state didn't have any chaos, and one had to say that it was a miracle. The legalism sect had a giant main gate. The main gate was the highest and reached into the clouds. It was several miles wide, and a person was as small as an ant in front of it. On the main gate, there were 4 black words that said Gate of Order. This was written by the Dharma Saint himself. It meant that the legalism sect represented order. It was said that when the legalism sect met guests, the main gate would never be opened. Even the most important guest could only enter from the side door. Gu Chensha looked at the Gate of Order, and his eyes shone. He followed Fa Lufeng into the side door and arrived at the main hall. Along the way, the legalism sect was really particular. Many of the legalism sect disciples stood on both sides of the corridor. They stood straight and looked at Gu Chensha. The talents of these legalism disciples are all quite good. Their cultivation bases are all at the martial arts grandmaster level. And this is the most ordinary disciple of etiquette, Gu Chensha thought. Although the report from the Celestial Tranquility Department contained some secrets of the legalism sect, it was a totally different feeling from entering the legalism sect to observe. The ceremonial disciples on the first floor of the palace were all martial arts grandmasters. As for the ceremonial disciples on the second floor, they were all disciples who had attained the first transformation of the Tao realm, submission to qi and fasting. The third palace's disciples were transformation 9 bulls and 2 tigers. The fourth was transformation 3 copperskin iron bones. Gu Chunsha walked into the great hall of the 6th floor before stopping. The ceremonial disciples were all at the 5th transformation, 100 apertures condensing spirit. The school of legalism lived up to its reputation as the #1 aristocratic family for several millennia. Even a disciple of etiquette they casually put on could become a peerless expert if placed in the common folk or the pugilistic world. Who knew how many other experts were hidden? Anyway, the legalism sect had more God realm experts than the ape race. There were definitely more than 3 of them. At that moment, a banquet was laid out in the 6th hall. There were 5 people accompanying the guests. These are the 5 elders of our legalism sect. They are ceremonial halls Fa Luyun, punishment halls Fa Liopa, pill halls Fa Luyao, wealth halls Fa Lujin, and weapon halls Fa Liushui. Fa Lufeng introduced, I am the skill hall elder. Chapter 467. The reason Gu Chansha had come here this time was to negotiate with the God-level expert of the school of legalism, a true antique. But now, there are only 6 great elders. Compared to the country, these 6 great elders were equivalent to the ministers of the 6 ministries. They couldn't make decisions at all. Even the current head of the school of Fa Lukong, did not come. The legalist system was actually the same as that of the apes. The old antiques, who were divine-level experts, basically did not come out. Every 30 years, the abbot would choose a clan leader, and the clan leader would deal with all sorts of matters within the clan. Only in a truly life-or-death situation would the old-timers come out. According to the Calming Immortal Department's intelligence, the patriarch of the Fa clan, Fa Lukong, was already at the peak of the 26th transformation. 10,000 techniques returned to 1. He would soon break through to the 27th transformation, seamless realm of 2. This was information from a few years ago. Now, there was a possibility of a breakthrough. The head of the school of legalism didn't come out, and neither did Old Antique. On the surface, the 6 elders appeared to be very polite, but in fact, they were refusing to negotiate. Of course, the legalist strategy was much more brilliant than the Jing families. May I know where the head of clan Fa is? When Gu Chansha entered the banquet, he discovered that there were some rare, immortal fruits being served. There were also medicinal pills that were unique to the legalism school. The reception was quite extravagant. Our patriarch has yet to come out of seclusion, and our ancestors are also in seclusion. They seem to be on the verge of a breakthrough, so we didn't come out to greet your highness this time. However, we, the great elders of the 6 palaces, are completely capable of deciding what your highness has come to discuss. There is no need to disturb the patriarch and old ancestor. Fa Lufeng said lightly, but the underlying meaning was very clear. Gu Qinsha was not qualified to meet the patriarch and some of the ancestors. The school of legalism had always been revered throughout the dynasties. Even if an emperor came to visit, the clan leader would not personally receive him. Moreover, the women of the school of legalism would not marry into the royal family, as they felt that the royal family did not have any foundation and that their bloodline was inferior. In fact, it was the same for the sage clans that had existed for thousands of years. Generally speaking, sage families would intermarry with each other and would never marry into the commoners. It was rumored that before the heavenly talisman great emperor had established the Yonko, he had been rejected by the legalists when he visited them. However, it was unknown why the legalists married a woman to him, and she even assisted him in establishing the Yonko and unifying the world. From Guchinch's point of view, The legalists must have looked down on the heavenly talisman Great Emperor at the beginning and were forced to submit to his powerful methods. It was the same for the nest of 10,000 dragons. This was especially true for the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Gu Chansha suspected that if it weren't for the fact that the Tranquil Fairy Department had recently defeated the apes, the legalists probably wouldn't even bother with him. In front of a colossal aristocratic family that had existed for thousands of years, what was a short-lived emperor? He was just a mud stick with a little bit of luck. This time, I'm here on behalf of the Tranquil Fairy Department to discuss cooperation with the legalists. I'm sure the legalists know that countless demons have gathered in the bottomless sea of sin in the Sin Province. Experts at the level of demon saints and demon gods are ready to invade the divine central continent at any time. Humans and demons cannot coexist. As the #1 aristocratic family, the legalists should ally with the imperial court to fight against the demons. Gu Qinsha directly stated his intentions. Although the legalists had the intention of keeping people at arm's length, Gu Qinsha still had to state his intentions and see what the legalists thought. That's only natural. The legalists will definitely cooperate with the imperial court to slay the demons. It's our duty. A few days ago, the Crown Prince and Imperial Concubine Ming established the Heaven Alliance and came to look for us. Fa Liufeng's reply was very slippery. The legalists have already reached an agreement with the Heaven Alliance. Of course, we can also reach an agreement with the Tranquil Fairy Department. What do you think, Tranquil Fairy Department? It was obvious that he was just pretending to be polite. Gu Chansha sneered inwardly, but he said, "The legalists probably know that our Tranquil Fairy Department has obtained the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra. In order to fight against the Devil Calamity, our Tranquil Fairy Department is willing to announce it to the world so that everyone in the world can become geniuses, unparalleled geniuses. However, the minds of the people in the world are hard to fathom. If we announce it, many lawless people will obtain it and use it to wreak havoc in the world. When the Devil Calamity comes, chaos will come first. If the legalists are sincere, our Tranquil Fairy Department is willing to cooperate with them and operate these two supreme heaven-defying arts together. After all, among all the aristocratic families, the legalists are the most concerned about order. They can also bring order out of chaos and restore order." He took out the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra as bait. As expected, the expressions of the 6 grand elders changed when they heard this. They exchanged glances and quickly communicated with each other using their psyche waves. Any faction would covet the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra, especially the legalists. If they could obtain it, they would be able to strengthen their family's influence and stay at the top for eternity. The Dragon Making Heart Sutra and Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra are too heaven-defying. Although our Tranquil Fairy Department has started the Common People's Wish Academy, we are only teaching the first part of the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra. After the disciples cultivate it, they will only be able to gather sufficient dragon nurturing chi in their bodies. They won't be able to change their aptitude. As long as the second part is taught, the dragon nurturing chi will seep into their bodies, and they will immediately obtain great achievements. Gu Chansha continued to tempt them. If the disciples of the legalists can cultivate it, their strength will increase by another level. Is the Tranquil Fairy Department really willing to share the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra with our legalists? The Pill Hall's Grand Elder, Fa Lu Yao, suddenly asked. His eyes were bursting with radiance. Of course, our Tranquil Fairy Department can share it with the people of the world. In the end, everyone in the world will become a genius, an unparalleled genius, and a saint. This is the structure of the world that countless great sages have pursued. Their ambition. The legalists are also a part of the world. Why can't we share it with the legalists? Gu Chansha spoke in a righteous tone. I know that the various aristocratic families might feel that some of the matters of the Tranquil Fairy Department are not in line with our ideals. However, to be honest, the legalists have been protecting the Central Divine Prefecture all these years. Their contributions are boundless. and they are the cornerstone of the human race. We have seen it for ourselves. Gu Chensh's words were also unpredictable. This kid is hard to deal with. When the grand elders of the 6 halls heard this, they did not feel happy about being complimented at all. Instead, they frowned. They could feel that Gu Chensha was definitely not an ordinary person. He was someone who was hard to get rid of. The things that he took out were also extremely tempting. They had originally wanted to host a banquet and get rid of Gu Chensha. However, if they were to get rid of him now, and Gu Chensha turned around and said the same thing to the other aristocratic families, the other aristocratic families might agree. Then the position of the legalists would be threatened. For example, the Wu family, the Fan family, the Wen family, the Lei family. If these families obtained the Dragon Nurturing Heart Technique and Dragon Creation Heart Technique, who knew who would be the #1 aristocratic family in the world in a few hundred years? However, if they wanted to obtain the Dragon Nurturing Heart Technique and Dragon Creation Heart Technique from Gu Chensha, it would not be easy for the legalists. They would definitely have to pay a huge price. Thinking of this, Fa Lufeng suddenly had an idea. Why don't we just fall out and activate the power of all the law realms of the legalists to suppress this kid? I'll seize his memories and dig out the Dragon Nurturing Heart Technique and Dragon Creation Heart Technique from his head. Other than that, there are also various Heavenly Demon Secret Techniques, the Great Massacre God Technique, and other Supreme Ultimate Techniques. That way, even if the other aristocratic families in the world join forces, our legalists would not be a match for them. When he thought of this, he exchanged glances with the other grand elders of the legalists. They all had the same idea. Although the Tranquil Fairy Department has cultivated the Life's Wish Sphere and the Heavenly Demon Tree, it is considered powerful, after all. After all, the Life's Wish Sphere has only been accumulated for a few years. There is no way it can resist all our law realms, Fa Lu Yao thought. Gu Chensha looked at these people coldly. Whatever the other party was thinking couldn't escape his prying eyes. These grand elders of the legalists are not good people either. They actually want to kill me and steal my treasures. They are not much different from the Demon Clan. That day, the Ape Clan thought the same. The Ape Clan and the Nest of 10,000 Dragons arrangement could not do anything to the Tranquil Fairy Department. Although the legalists are stronger than the Ape Clan, I don't believe that they are stronger than the Nest of 10,000 Dragons. Gu Chensha already knew what kind of people these aristocratic families were. I wonder what the legalist attitude is. If they are not willing, I would like to do business with the Tai Mystic Sect and the Mystic Sect of the universe. Gu Chensha directly said, the Taishan Capital Sect leader and Chang Weiyang Sect leader approve of our Tranquil Fairy Department very much. Right now, the Taishan Capital Sect leader's son, Tai Mang Di, is in our Tranquil Fairy Department. Last time, it was the two of them who helped me defeat the Ape Clan. This sentence woke up the grand elders of the 6 palaces. They immediately realized that the Tranquil Fairy Department had the support of these 2 mystic sects. The legalists had to be careful. This matter is very important. We have to report it to our superiors. In at least 3 days, or at most 7 days, the legalists will personally send someone to the Tranquil Fairy Department to discuss this cooperation. Fa Lufeng stood up and extinguished the thought of killing Gu Chensha now. In that case, I will take my leave first. Gu Chensha had come this time to test out the strength of the legalists. He had secretly activated his magic power to investigate and discovered that there was an incomparably huge potential hidden within the legalist's palace. Even he could not easily sneak in and stir up trouble, or else he would be in great danger. What a pity! Although I am now in the lawful phenomenon realm, if I could go one step further and reach the 23 transformations reflecting the past, I might be able to discover the gaps in the legalist matrix and its operation. I could calculate opportunities first and sneak in deeper to obtain many of the legalist secrets. Gu Chensha already knew that the legalists were legalists after all. It was temporarily impossible for him to obtain some key things. His cultivation was still a little lacking. After bidding farewell, he left the legalists. The grand elders of the 6 palaces watched him leave, their eyes flashing with cold light. Fa Liuyun's expression was cold. I still think we should suppress this kid and seize his dragon creation and dragon-raising techniques. We absolutely cannot allow them to fall into the hands of other factions. We can't make a move for now, Fa Liu Yao said, waving his hand dismissively. Most importantly, we don't know what the Lord of Seven Stars is planning. Perhaps she's prepared. And that's not all. We still haven't received word that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor has truly disappeared. If we act rashly, it will be very dangerous. Chapter 468. The School of Legalism is indeed unfathomable. I entered just like that and saw many clues. It is no longer possible for me to sneak in and obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint. After Gu Qinsha came out, his eyes became deep. However, if I want to do that, I could take a detour and go to the mysterious gate of the universe to deal with the two old guys, Chong Wei-yong and Tai Xuandu. Compared to the School of Legalism, the Tai mystic sect and the mysterious gate of the universe were more suitable for cooperation. The people from the School of Legalism had the intention to kill after a few words. If not for all the considerations, they would have already done it. Legalism, just you wait. Since you have the intention to kill, there is no need for me to feign civility with you. I will do my best to weaken your strength. I can say for sure that when the demon disaster breaks out and the demons deal with the tranquil immortal department, your School of Legalism will stab us in the back. Gu Qinsha's body spread out and turned into a soundless cloud, Qi. He flew at a speed that was more than 100 times faster than when he had gone to the mysterious gate of the universe. When he had arrived at the mysterious gate of the universe in the East Wilderness, his cultivation was still at the 19 changes of Tao realm, size manipulation. He had relied on his physical body and Dan Qi. He had not even cultivated his magic power, let alone the quality of the heavenly Tao. Compared to then, his current strength was world apart, be it in terms of cultivation realm or combat strength. He was soundless as he circulated his magic power. It was as if he had blended into the world. He flew without leaving any traces. He was like a cool breeze, like a white cloud, like the essence of the world, like the nourishment of rain. No matter how well one concealed oneself, there would still be flaws when one cultivated in flight, and it would be easily noticed by others. However, after Gu Qinsha cultivated the 22 transformations of heaven and earth, he was able to fuse into one with everything in the world at any time, and he would never retreat. This sort of profundity was something that even gods were unable to notice. A few hours later, he arrived at the mysterious gate of the universe from the Dharma province. This time, he entered the mysterious gate of the universe with ease. When Gu Qinsha entered the pool of universe thunder, he saw Tai Xuandu and Wen Hong playing chess, while Chong Wei-yong watched from the side. Dang! Wen Hong placed down a black chess piece. Tai Xian thought about it for a long time, and then sighed. As expected from the Son of Destiny, each generation has its own talent. Wen Hong, you win this round. Senior, you're too polite. Senior, you're just trying to help me win. Wen Hong put away the chess piece and saw Gu Qinsha walking in. At this time, Chong Wei-yong and Tai Xian looked over. Wonderful! The three of them exclaimed simultaneously. To think that you actually succeeded. The Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor is truly one of the strongest existences in history. Chong Wei-yong could already tell the quality of Gu Qinsha's heavenly Tao art. I'm actually able to witness the appearance of a heavenly Tao art in my lifetime. Tai Xian exclaimed, it seems like it was right for me to let my son join your celestial commerce department. Once the heavenly Tao art is cultivated, you will be able to sever the threads of fate. From now on, even the holy heavenly venerables won't be able to calculate your fate, future, and even your past. In the heavenly secrets, you are invisible. Wen Hong said, the celestial treading bloodline is indeed able to suppress the heavenly Tao. I came here to discuss some things with the mysterious gate of the universe and Tai mystic sect. Gu Qinsha said, never-ending sect master, we've already captured Do 19, who you wanted to kill, and obtained all of his memories. However, we still need to use him to do various things, so we haven't killed him for now. A living Do 19 is more valuable than a dead Do 19. Zhuge's calculations are really deep. He used Do 19 just like that to obtain the Azure Dragon and White Tiger. Now that all 4 Saint Beasts are gathered, your Celestial Calmness Department's potential will increase greatly. More importantly, no matter what tribulations you face, you can escape. Preserve the spark. Chang Weiyang nodded. So, you're saying that you came here to exchange the things you obtained from Do 19 for something? I know that the Celestial Calmness Department has been flourishing recently. I've also noticed those people's generals. Even I can't refine this treasure. It's not a trade. It's a complete alliance. Gu Chunsha waved his hand. The greatest benefit I obtained from Do 19 is the Dragon-Raising Sutra and Dragon-Making Sutra. These 2 sutras are the greatest merit in the world. If you hand them over to the Tai Mystic Sect and the Mysterious Gate of the Universe, I'm afraid that the overall strength of your sects will increase by several times in a few decades. Theoretically, that's true. However, you've forgotten one thing. Chang Weiyang shook her head. That's the tribulations. The Dragon-Raising Sutra is a heaven-defying sutra. It can change one's aptitude. However, one's aptitude is innate. If it's changed through cultivation, the tribulations will be extremely great. If I'm not mistaken, you've already died once. That makes sense. Gu Qinsha knew that even if one cultivated the Dragon-Raising Sutra and Dragon-Making Sutra, one couldn't become a genius or even an unparalleled genius. Instead, once one cultivated, one's life would be filled with difficulties and many tribulations would come one after another. Only by passing the tribulations could one achieve something. There's no such thing as a smooth sailing in the world. Why should I be afraid of tribulations? The more tribulations there are, the more I sharpen myself. I've cultivated the heavenly Tao, so there will be many more tribulations in the future. Each time I raise a realm, the heavenly Tao's influence on me will be greater. However, this is also the best way to cultivate. Constantly resisting the heavenly Tao's influence will benefit my soul greatly. This kind of training on the border of life and death can forge my determination to destroy everything. Gu Qinsha wasn't afraid of tribulations. The heavenly Tao is also beneficial to us. The Dragon-Making Sutra and Dragon-Raising Sutra are undoubtedly beneficial to the sect. Tai Xian said, "What do you want? How do you want to trade?" What I want to do is beneficial to all of you too. Gu Qinsha looked at Tai Xian, sect leader Xiandu. If I'm not wrong, you felt that the heavenly Tao is attracting you more and more. You have to spend a lot of mental energy to resist it, otherwise you'll be assimilated by the heavenly Tao and merge with it. In the end, you'll disappear and die. But there's something that can solve this. You're talking about comprehending variables? Tai Xian shook his head. The Tao of variables isn't easy to comprehend. No, it's to obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint. It said that the Dharma Saint didn't merge with the Tao and instead researched a method to resist the heavenly Tao. Gu Qinsha said, the Warlock Saint has spent his entire life studying the transformations of magic power. It is said that he has already reached the highest realm of the 9 levels True Dragon technique. This time, I went to the school of legalism and vaguely felt that the Warlock Saint is still alive. The Dharma Saint is indeed still alive. Chang Weiyang said, my father once caught a trace of the Dharma Saint and wanted to discuss some things with the Dharma Saint. Unfortunately, the Dharma Saint avoided him. In the end, my father couldn't resist the heavenly Tao's call and merged with it. If the Dharma Saint has such a method, then he probably opened another path. He doesn't need to become a variable to be close to undying. Gu Qinsha frowned. My father once said that the Dharma Saint is the most special out of all the saints. He seems to have understood the essence of the laws. Chang Weiyang said, although I've comprehended the variable and cultivated a technique, if I don't comprehend it and break through the 36 transformations and jump out of the 3 realms, I'm afraid I'll lose to the Dharma Saint. Not only that, I suspect that the three sky venerables won't be able to do anything to the Dharma Saint. He's that strong. A worried expression appeared on Gu Chencha's face. It seems like the Dharma Saint is much stronger than I imagined. All saints have to merge with the heavenly Tao and enter destruction. The stronger they are, the more likely they are to disappear at any time. Only the Dharma Saint avoided the call and exists forever. When Hong's expression was solemn. If the legalists were easy to deal with, they wouldn't have been able to sit on the throne of the top families for so long. Isn't the legalist stronger than the Black Heaven Earth sect? Gu Qinsha asked. Of course, Chang Weiyang warned. You have to be extremely careful if you want to attack the school of legalism. If the Warlock Saint really appears, I'm afraid Tai Xian and I, along with Wen Hong, will not be a match for him. The Dharma Saint was a great saint from the ancient era and had left behind countless legends. He was many times older than Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian. If he hadn't died, the things he had accumulated would be terrifying. He really is strong. If that's the case, if we obtain his secrets, we'll have more resources. Gu Qinsha didn't give up on the idea of obtaining secrets from the legalists. The stronger the Dharma Saint was, the more useful the secrets would be to him. What Gu Qinsha wanted the most was research on the quality of the heavenly Tao techniques. This would be of great benefit to his future cultivation. If he obtained the results of the Dharma Saint's research, it would be the same as standing on the shoulders of the King of Saints. You still haven't given up? Chang Weiyang asked curiously. No matter what, the Dharma Saint didn't cultivate the heavenly Tao techniques, but I did, Gu Qinsha said. This is where he is inferior to me. That's true. Chang Weiyang wasn't really afraid of the Dharma Saint. Since Gu Qinsha was willing to be the vanguard, she naturally wouldn't reject him. What plans do you have? Tell us. If we can help, we won't be stingy. After all, after obtaining the Dharma Saint's secrets, we'll have enough benefits. These are the secrets of the three sky sovereigns that I obtained from Do 19. Gu Qinsha sent out a thought and displayed the memories he obtained from Do 19. Apart from that, there was also the complete version of the dragon cultivation technique. I'll give you the complete version of the dragon nurturing mantra. Gu Qinsha said, but I hope you won't spread it. Just train disciples in secret. As for the dragon cultivation technique, it's too heaven-defying. After we obtain the Dharma Saint's secrets, we'll give it to you. Chapter 469. The Dragon-Making Heart Sutra was extremely mysterious. The cultivator would cultivate the dragon, making qi in his body, and slowly turn himself into an unparalleled genius. Unparalleled geniuses could cultivate until they were close to the gods. In fact, even those naturally born geniuses would need the dragon creation mantra to strengthen their foundations, so that their talent as a peerless genius would be even more stable. It was the same for geniuses. Be it geniuses or unparalleled geniuses, they were divided into different levels, just like natural saints. For example, F.A. Wuxian's talent was far from Zhugeya's. Natural geniuses and unparalleled geniuses were like those with divine powers. They were powerful, but if they cultivated martial arts, it would just be the icing on the cake. Actually, geniuses and unparalleled geniuses needed the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra more. They cultivated these two techniques to strengthen their foundations and gain more benefits than ordinary people. Even natural saints needed to cultivate these two techniques to gather the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra in their bodies, circulating and transforming them to understand where their talent came from. It was just like how the high and mighty immortals also needed to cultivate their hearts in the mortal world. Moreover, the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra and Dragon Making Heart Sutra did not just increase talent. They also had extremely strong defense and killing power. Back then, Gu Qinsha used a small part of the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra to activate the Dragon Gate that he cultivated, which could absorb all innate Earth Chi attacks and convert the energy of the attacks in a Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra, making him invincible in battle. Just this alone made the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra one of the best techniques in the world. At the same time, the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra could convert all types of innate earth chi, simulating changes and becoming the source of all internal cultivation techniques. The offensive power of the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra was also very shocking. After cultivating, the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra would spread throughout the body, giving one immense strength. After cultivating the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra, all martial arts would be at their fingertips, and their body would be almost indestructible, immune to all poisons, and could neutralize all poisons. If it was a martial artist, even if they only received a few sentences of the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra, they could immediately become a top expert, establish their own sect, and become an ancestor. The disciples of the profound, immortal Tao sect were even more impressive. Gu Chensha had given the Dragon Raising Sutra to the profound Cosmos sect and the Tai Fantasy sect in order to increase his own strength. These two sects had already formed an alliance with him. Perhaps they would have to fight against the three heavenly masters in the future. As for Wen Hong, Gu Chensha had also passed on the Dragon Creation Mantra to him. After all, Wen Hong was her mother's relative, so she could trust him. Brat, this time, we've gained a huge benefit, Chang Wei-yong said. Just what kind of plan do you have against the Dharma Saint? Just tell me. Ever since the transaction with Gu Chensha, even Chang Wei-yong, this anomaly, had obtained quite a few benefits. She already knew that Gu Chensha and the people of Calming Immortal Department all possessed extremely great luck. We can't force our way through the legalists. We need to outsmart them. Gu Chensha said, now that I'm proficient in the art of transformation, I've decided to transform into Do 19 and try to enter the legalists. However, the legalists are heavily restricted. If I enter, I'll be taking a huge risk. I also need the three of you to work together to refine a talisman for me. This talisman is an ancient shaman talisman recorded in the Xing Qiong clan's secret technique. With Chang Wei-yong, Tai Xian-du, and Wen Hong working together to refine a talisman, its power was unimaginable. Gu Chensha needed this talisman to protect himself at crucial times. My current art of transformation is very exquisite, but it has a flaw. That is, I can only transform into existences with a higher realm than myself. Gu Chensha said, so I need the three of you to refine this talisman and use ancient shaman techniques to help me. This way, when I transform, I can perfectly imitate the cultivation of Do 19's undying body. So you have such a series of plans. Wen Hong was the first to agree. With your current transformation, with your cultivation of 22 transformations of heaven and earth, it is indeed difficult for even a saint to notice if you transform into an existence of the same realm as you. However, if you transform into an existence of a higher realm than you, then there will be a huge flaw. With a talisman made from ancient shaman techniques, this flaw can be made up for. However, you also have to be careful. While the talisman we refine can make up for this flaw, if you meet someone with a cultivation higher than ours, they might also be able to see through it. What they see through is our talisman, not your heavenly Tao technique. The Dharma Saint might very well be among the legalists. Then, you will be in extreme danger. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. At the same time, Gu Chensha said to Chang Wei-yong, I still need to borrow this pool of universe thunder to cultivate my own supernatural power. That's fine. I want to see what level your cultivation has reached and what mysteries a heavenly Tao technique has. Chang Wei-yong also wanted to use this opportunity to observe Gu Chensha. In that case, we have an agreement. If I obtain the secret of resisting the heavenly Tao from the Dharma Saint and the legalists, I will definitely share it with you all. Gu Chensha had already completed his plan of alliance. Pool of Universe Thunder. Chang Wei-yong pointed, and instantly, the space of the pool of Universe Thunder opened up. Endless Kane, lightning water, and the miraculous effects of transforming all things appeared before his eyes. Gu Chensha's body transformed, and instantly, he transformed into the river of myriad things, which directly entered the space of the pool of universe thunder. He wanted to borrow the power of the pool of universe thunder to further his transformation, and predict a transformation even more powerful than the river of myriad things. Once the true dragon Dharma reached the 5th tier, which was also known as the 9-5 number, it could evolve the river of myriad things, which was the pinnacle of the transformations of heaven and earth in the ancient records. But now that Gu Chansha had cultivated the heavenly Tao technique, the transformation of his magic power would definitely not be as powerful as that of the river of myriad things. This kid is really strong. In a battle of magical powers at the same level, he's probably invincible. Tai Xuandu was also carefully observing Gu Chencha's cultivation in the pool of universe thunder. The operation of the heavenly Tao technique was something he had never seen or heard of before. Even though Gu Chencha's power was so weak compared to his, he was much stronger. The transformation of the heavenly Tao technique is something we have never seen before. This time, we can gain a lot of experience. Chang Weiyang was also watching intently. Gu Chansha transformed into the river of myriad things and entered the pool of universe thunder. He began to borrow the power of the pool of universe thunder to propel his transformation. Heavenly demon tree, rumble. The river of myriad things changed again. Gu Chansha transformed into a heavenly demon tree. However, the heavenly demon tree was extremely unstable and could collapse at any moment. It was also far from the original heavenly demon tree. The heavenly demon tree was born as a god, and it has many characteristics that gods cannot understand. It will be difficult for him to transform. When Hong shook his head, "Look, he is actually transforming into the immortal, slaying, god-punishing gourd." Tai Xuandu pointed. The heavenly demon tree that Gu Chansha had transformed into crumbled, but his spiritual power condensed again, turning into a gourd. A flying dagger flew out of the gourd. This flying dagger had wings and eyes. As long as it locked onto someone, even if they fled to the ends of the world, they would not be able to escape. I was killed by the real immortal, slaying, god-punishing flying dagger, but Father's bloodline wrapped around the dagger energy and revived me. Now I am using the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth to transform into this gourd. This might be my strongest attack. Gu Chensha continued to transform. With a slash, the universe lightning pool gave out a loud rumbling sound. Such strength! He can even kill a Tao realm 26 transformations all back to one cultivator in one strike. Tai Xuandu was shocked by such strength. Those who have cultivated the true dragon technique might not die immediately, but those who have not cultivated the true dragon technique will completely dissipate in a single strike. All the essence in their bodies will be snatched away by this saber. Chang Weiyang understood. At that moment, Gu Chensha transformed once more. He actually transformed into the universe lightning pool. Right, when he cultivated in the universe lightning pool, his heaven Tao technique seeped into it, and he comprehended many secrets. He started to form a small universe lightning pool. How long? His body turned into a small universe lightning pool. At that moment, he resonated with the real universe lightning pool. Numerous explosions spread out from within the universe lightning pool. The universe lightning pool actually started to shake like never before. Chang Weiyang stood up. It seemed like she didn't expect such a change. Gu Chansha was using his Heaven Tao technique to push the universe lightning pool. Instead, he was tempering the universe lightning pool and not the other way around. The universe lightning pool seemed to be activated by the Heaven Tao technique and started to change. It wasn't a cube anymore, and it slowly turned into a person. This person was blurry, and his aura was like that of the strongest saint. Although his face was blurry, Chang Weiyang recognized him right away. This was her father, Chang Yuzhou. He had already merged with the Tao, but now, it seemed like he was going to revive once more. Father? Chang Weiyang's tone was a little emotional. For saints who merged with the Tao, due to the changes in heaven and earth, or because the family had worshipped them for a long time, their wish power would reach a certain level. However, it was impossible for them to revive completely. The Wu family had a secret technique, where the family worshipped the martial saint for thousands of years. If it was used up, the martial saint could gather once more and use his full strength for a few hours. This was the Wu family's trump card. All sage clans placed great importance on worshipping. This was because if they worshipped enough and accumulated enough power, they could exchange for the sage from the heavenly Tao to show himself. The universe's mysterious gate had also worshipped and accumulated a lot of power. However, Chang Weiyang didn't use this power this time. Yet, Chang Yuzhou was about to show himself. What was going on? Weiyang, I didn't expect you to be able to make friends with someone who has cultivated the Heaven Dao technique. If you can use the Heaven Dao technique to its peak, you can strip me from the Heaven Dao law and let me reappear in the world. It's a pity that this person's cultivation level is too low. Since that's the case, I'll impart all my experiences to this person. A powerful memory was directly injected into Gu Chensh's magic power. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.